What's up? Yo, this is a special episode, man. Episode 13 of Andrewcast. I got with me in the building, Josh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Chill. That
Here
people
we
have been
go.
hitting me up. It's like Josh is gonna come on eventually. Here he is.
And it begins.
Yeah,
We're
this.
in the spot.
Yo, he goes by Crux, right? I'm saying that right?
That was the old name. I actually changed it now.
Okay. What's
Yeah,
up?
so now it's Niles Bronze.
Hey. Well, he goes
A
by
little
now.
smoother.
That sounds like a jazz artist. That sounds
Mm.
like somebody that makes jazz music or something.
That's perfect because that's where we're trying to go.
Right. You do have a smooth kind of sound. Well, he for people who don't know, you should know. He's a rapper. This guy's a musician. He's a poet. Name something, and he probably does it honestly. And he had this mixtape called Priceless Life that was just super dope, man. I was super blessed to have it sent to me ahead of schedule.
Yo.
So I got to listen to it, man, and it was awesome. And I definitely just wanted to bring him on the podcast today, just to break down what he does, man, his art, and just his past projects, his future projects, and his inspirations, man.
Yeah, it's an honor, bro.
So thanks
It's
for
an
coming.
honor, especially as you've been an inspiration to continue the craft since we linked up. I remember we was chilling at Morgan South in the old rest hall, right? And you pulled up a song on your phone and played it for Jameson and I. We was just chilling, right? And you played that. And I was like, at that point, I was like, oh, snap, I got to get working. Because I was like, yo, homie can spit. So it's all inspiration. A lot of inspiration has come from, like, our friendship, bro. So it's cool to be on the show finally.
Definitely, man. And I appreciate your input, man, because, again, when I make something, I take the input of other creators with a little more weight than I would take some input from somebody who doesn't make anything. We kind of touched on that earlier, you know what I'm saying? So from creator to creator, respect, man, and I love what you do. But I just want to talk about Priceless Life, man, and really just kind of break it down, man. I mean, from my point of view, everything on it is dope. I'm just be honest with you. Every track is sick. But really one of my favorites is Father Son Final Album, and that's one that has an awesome video that a lot of people have seen. But I want to talk about Crawling in My Cocoon because the hook is so catchy. you do something that a lot of rappers and poets, well, a lot of rappers struggle with, and that is making it a good hook. Because a lot of people can write punchlines, a lot of people can write really snappy songs, but it's hard to make a hook. So how do you go about that? How do you do that?
Well, first off, thank you, bro. Thank you for digesting the art, but also for giving me that feedback. It's interesting you say that because I think the hook is one of the hardest parts.
Right.
But the hook is something that comes to me, I feel like, first.
Yeah.
When I'm writing an acoustic song or a soul song, and I've loved this jam, right? The hook is the first thing that comes. I'll sing a chorus or something.
Right.
But then, I'm thinking about Crawling in My Cocoon now, and I think that I actually wrote the hook last.
Okay.
For a beat, when a beat comes through, it's like you just want to get bars out, so you start writing, and then you look at the entire theme, and it's like, all right, I gotta put a bow around this entire song, and two, it's got to be something that can actually be a vehicle for that theme. You can't just be like, this song is about love, you know what I'm saying, and not get your point across. So that's really where I was at, is talking about trying to wrap a bow around that. So it's definitely a balance.
Yeah.
But it's cool to talk about because it's different for each song, especially as I'm trying to do a lot of different genres.
Right.
Like Cold as August, for instance, that end of that soul song.
That's another one with a great hook.
Right? Yeah, that was just that came out. That was heavily inspired by Rari. His project was All We Need, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to kind of continue off of what he was saying, was all we need is love.
Yeah.
But then not be cliche and it's all we need is love, baby. Just love a little bit. But it's no, all we need is love. And sometimes that doesn't even sound right. You know what I'm saying?
Why does that sound right?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's the creative process, especially when we're talking about music, is something that's almost whimsical, and leaps from a lot of different places.
Totally.
So it's really something you just want to kind of catch, and it comes through you, and sometimes it comes through dope. Sometimes it's yo, we gotta wait till something else comes through, bro. Yeah.
I feel like with you, it comes easier because you're actually really good at singing. Or a lot of people that go spit and like they're trying to write these hooks that they can't sing, or they got somebody else that is featured on their track that can sing, which you've done before. But like I feel like you're good at writing hooks because like a lot of your rapping is kind of singing already. Like you're like singing and rapping. You kind of go back and forth so seamlessly, and that's what makes it fun to listen to. So whimsical is definitely a good way to describe it. On Father Son, speaking of choruses, I just kind of want to delve into like some of the meaning of your lyrics. When it comes to the chorus in that song, you say, "I believe in guardian angels. When they leave, I can't be faithful." I don't listen, man. Fire. But I want to know, man, like, what did you mean by that? Because there's like the part where that comes in the song is like right when we're about to dive into the song is at the very beginning, and it's like then it goes like right into the song. So like, what did you mean by that?
Dang, bro, yo.
Maybe
you gassing me up. Andrewcast is also Andrew Gas because he be gassing up his artists, bro. No, I'm playing. Yo, I think that's so dope that you picked that up, because to me, a lot of I wrote this, so like I write a lot of poetry, and I was writing a poem, like that song is about my dad, right? I was writing a poem that was almost like this really critical stance on religion, and I was like, what does it mean to have seen Jesus Christ be ripped from this world? Because I'm like, basically speaking on metaphor specifically to my dad, I'm like, I didn't see him change water to wine, but I saw him change one slice of pizza to 3 boxes of pizza for all the children that were hungry at the playground we was chilling at, you know what I'm saying? And I saw him change cold water in our bathtub to hot water somehow when our heater was out, you know what I'm saying? So like I saw him make all these miracles happen. And so when I write about my dad, it's very like this angelic type of feeling, almost like spiritual, and saying like my dad was my guardian angel.
Right.
And I did struggle a lot with like religion when he left. So that was this idea of this dichotomy of having someone so great in your life and then losing them, and what that looks like. Are you thankful that you had them in your life, or are you critical about like the universe and the power in this world to take that away?
Right.
So that's what I was dealing with in that song. Is like it's very much an turning part of the project,
right?
Where a lot of the pain is coming through, and I'm questioning. Like I'm at this point in my life where I'm questioning of like, where is my stance on all this? Because it's so much pain involved with losing your dad, especially when he's been there, he's been your rock, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I gotta be thankful. Like that's what this is. This whole project is Priceless Life. It's knowing that no one else has the life that I do. No one else has had how I literally like would draw metaphors like Jesus in this world. Like my dad, I've seen him do so much, just spread so much love, that although I do deal with that pain in like a really critical way, and sometimes I'm like, yo, whether it's that day I'm like God or universe or like just world, it's like I have those times where I question, but I always got to come back and be like, yo, I'm thankful that I even had the bull in my life, like the best man in my life. I wouldn't change that time for anything.
Right.
So yeah, that's what it is that was a long answer, but it's like this. Yeah, he was my guardian angel, and it's like, yeah, it's like losing that faith, but I definitely do come back. I'm just like, yo, I gotta be thankful for having like an incredible man in my life.
Right.
When some people ain't even got a father in their life, or if they do, they're not happy with who that man is. And so yeah, I'm really thankful, bro.
It's cool that you said all that, and thanks for sharing that, man, because that's definitely very meaningful. It really helps me understand that song, not only that song but the entire album, as it relates to the title Priceless Life, because I feel like you said it, dichotomy, that chorus definitely has like a what perspective am I taking here kind of question, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of your songs, you have questions as lyrics, which I really like. That's what's cool. But the fact that it's called Priceless Life to me means that overall you are thankful. Overall life is priceless. Like overall, you're grateful. And that's what's so cool about it, because you're somebody, I got in my phone, man. I got emojis next to people's names, and a lot of times the emojis represent like how I see that person or whatever. Or,
Bet.
And the one next to you is wave. You know what I'm saying? Because you're the wave.
Yo.
And the way I look at it is, you're somebody who's all about vibes, and like really, every time you talk to me, like I get this kind of vibe. Like you're all about aesthetic and vibe, and what I get from Priceless Life is like a lot of positivity. But there's a tone shift. You know what I'm saying? Like it goes into like positivity, but then questioning why do things have to be this way. And then back to like, this is who I am. And there's that one line that's probably my favorite line in the entire mixtape, which is, what was it? It's there's no one I ever wanted to be but me. When I heard that, I was like, I feel like this is the thesis. I feel like this is the thesis of this mixtape. I think it's on Prodigal Son or Prodigal One.
Yeah, it's Prodigal One.
Okay,
or Prodigy One.
Prodigy One. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
What is and that's my next question. What's the relation between One and Son? What was the relation between those, and why'd you put them back to back like that?
These questions are so dope. This is like all I've ever wanted to do is talk about this project.
When I said I brought you on to break down your stuff, man, I wasn't kidding.
Yeah.
We're gonna delve into your stuff.
Yo, this is everything. But you hit it right on the head. That turning point in those two songs is the thesis of the project.
Okay.
Crawling in My Cocoon, I wanted to put in parentheses chasing cool, but I just was like at that last moment I was like, nah, I don't want to be like, I want it to be more of a metaphor. But that was very much like this hype song that was just chasing something,
right?
All dang morning and all dang night. They ignoring the priceless life. So it was like me not being accepted but still wanting something. So it was like running, right?
Socially, what do you mean by not being accepted?
Yeah, I would say socially. Like that would be like the time in high school. So the way I mapped this out, like the project was almost like each song is a period of my life.
Right.
And so that was like this high school area where I wasn't doing art. I was chasing the cool. I was playing basketball. I was lifting,
right.
Trying to hang out with like women and stuff and getting caught up in relationships.
Right.
And that was that moment was just like that song really encapsulated that was just this chasing cool and being wanting to be something that I actually wasn't, right? And then we get to Prodigal Son, and it's this kind of coming to realization of almost like an introduction of myself before I was really me. And that song is kind of low-key political and speaking in a lot of different themes. But Prodigy One then at the end is like that crying out. The beat switches is like it kind of like mimics this dark hype at first,
right.
But then it completely switches and gets to this very like, repressed, dark tone at the end. And that's when I'm screaming out like, the only person I ever wanted to be was me, even if it means what I had to do was just flee. I think I feel the peace. People saying you're the man now. Then a questioning of why I always got to stand now. Are you as a fan now? Is this just a handout? Reflect on history and think all this could just pan out.
Yeah.
And it's all this conflict in that song, but it's like, it's so necessary. And I think that's the cool thing, the beautiful thing about this Priceless Life is that through all the things I'm thankful for, I'm still conflicted, and there's still so much darkness in all of it.
Right.
That's really what makes me, and that's kind of also stringent upon this new name is Niles Bronze, is talking about that darkness, and Kalo Crux was talking about that darkness. I always want to have a name that reflected the duality of life. So that's why I always do 2-part names. So Niles Bronze is like, Niles is like the Nile River, dark, conflicted, a lot of twists and turns. You don't know what's going on inside of it. But I also like to introduce darkness like that, but then also introduce a championship over that or a celebration over that. And to me, that was Bronze, which is, there's duality in that too, because it's like, oh wait, but you're celebrating third place.
Right.
And then I'm like, yeah, what you mean? Like, I'm not really infatuated with being first or number one, especially knowing that what that means is saying that like you're self-made or, you the man, you grind it every day. But when we think about first or self-made, we forget that we're standing on the shoulders of 40 other people.
Exactly.
And so that was my idea, was creating this like duality in.
It's kind of this underdog thing too.
Yeah. And I love that. I love the underdog. I love the person that no one really believed in, but still found a way and stayed true to themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy, who lives in the shadows pretty much, But then when he comes out, it seems like he's been the light the whole time.
Yeah, and another thing is like bronze is an alloy that is combined with a lot of different materials, and like that's also me like, my culture, my identity racially, and then also, but the idea of like how cool that means, like what that means as a community to come together as a lot of different pieces of people, and then just have this celebration around that. So that's really what I was thinking about. My mind's going right now as we talking.
Man, that's exactly what this is. We're here to get that all out. And that's cool, man, because, you definitely are a combination of a lot of things, but that's what makes any artist an artist, right? It's because they've had all these different influences and stimuli that affects their work. And I guess that leads me to my next question, where as Niles Bronze is really about duality, I see a lot of that coming through in your photography, where a lot of the pictures of yourself, where you depict yourself as an artist, is usually multiple yous in the picture, which I love, man. I love every one of them. I believe there was a red and blue one, or was one of which
yeah.
That one was dope, and I read that poem that was attached to it, which by the way is an excellent form, man. You have an image of you with photography, and then you have in your description a poem. It's so digestible. For me, man, like you should make an Instagram account that's just strictly that, bro.
Yeah.
And just post them like once a week. But yeah, tell me about like what's going on in the photography and like, what you're feeling with that, man. Because I see a lot of deep stuff coming through on photography.
Yo, so that's one of my favorite things to do. I think that's my constant escape. I think writing songs is something that I only tend to think in projects when I'm doing songs, and that can be sometimes stressful, especially with what I'm working on now. Is you can sometimes fall under the weight of an entire project, and especially we can talk about like the other project or like the writing style for that later. But photography and the editing and the art that I'm putting out on Instagram, I think is my constant escape. Where sometimes those poems are just like, I'll just be venting in the moment. Like, I'll just look at a picture and I'll just start spitting some stuff. And that's really what I did for that one. I was like, Mom, sometimes I gotta cry out and say that I'm scared of corporate America and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's just like in that moment when I'm feeling. But when I did that at first, it's really funny that you talk about like the duality between those two, because at first, all right, so if you want the story, right? I had this image for an album cover for I Knew Luna, which was like that first project that I was thinking about.
I remember that.
And I was like hitting up Bull, and I was like, yo, bro, you think you could do some like graphic design for this? And he was like, yeah, I got you, but I'm gonna need some money on the side. And I was like, I was hella broke, so I was like, bro, I don't know if I could do that. So I was just looking up like free editing softwares, like graphic design, and Canva popped up.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let me check this out. I was playing with it, bro. It was like 4 hours later, I had all these different images.
Yeah, I remember.
And it came from the funny thing that the first time I started experimenting with the duality or mirroring or like the images like that was because I had one image and it just didn't fit the whole way. So I was like, shoot, I kept trying to like size it right and it looked terrible. I was like, bro, let me just copy this, John, and like put them back to back. And I looked at it, I was like, yo, that's sick though. That's dope. That's so dope. So I kind of like went off it from there, and that's where I gained a lot of my style was like from a mistake essentially.
Yeah.
But that's really where a lot of my writing comes from. I would just be jamming on guitar. I'll be trying to hit a C chord and I'll hit something wrong, but the chord is beautiful. I'm like, oh snap. And then I'll just write a song based off of that. And that's why like people that I'll collaborate with who know music are like, what are you playing, bro?
Right.
Like, what is that?
What in the world is this?
Yeah. But that's like just, I think like a lot of my identity at this point is, like we said earlier, whimsical and something that's not rehearsed, but still is just me. Like it's just raw. So.
Right. And you know, that's where a lot of just stuff you make comes from mistakes. I mean, for me, when it's with drawing, there's a lot of like incorrect drawings I've done, and I've kept some of those designs, you know, for characters and environments and stuff that I do when it comes to comics that I didn't intend on doing when I first sat down to draw them. But it's really cool. I mean, you're very experimental right now, and I was talking to you earlier about how Priceless Life is kind of like a movie, you know. It's kind of like a film. It's one of those albums, like you said, a concept album that you listen to in the beginning and then you listen to it all the way to the end. Obviously you pick like your favorite songs if you'd want to, but it's something that you can listen to all the way through, and it's kind of like a story. Would you ever consider doing like a full film for for Priceless Life. It'd be a lot of work, but like just a music video that's as just. I mean, obviously you already have Father Son album, which would be a part of the film.
Yeah.
But just having like a continuous video that is just the story of that, or.
So it's really dope that you say that, because every time I do a project, I'm like, what would the visual be?
Right.
And for each of those songs, I know what the visual would be. Like, they're in my head, you know what I'm saying?
Sweet.
But I think with that, and we were talking about this earlier, is that it's hard to like name that project, what you would call it. Like, sometimes it matters who I'm talking to or what's in my head in the moment. Sometimes it'd be like, oh, it's an EP, oh, it's a mixtape, right. Oh, it's an album. But it's not any of those. It's like a concept, like you said.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing about that was how it was a statement of my identity, and every time I listen to those songs, I see the image, or I see the visual, and I was like, I kind of want to leave it like that.
Right.
Especially knowing, because like it's the closest to a mixtape, because like those beats aren't mine. Mm-hmm. I did all of the music for the poems.
Right.
But like the beats aren't mine, which is like the sad thing.
That's not a sad thing, bro.
Yeah. But the cool thing about like the next project is they'll all be mine, and so right. I think I'm thinking much more heavily with visuals. But right. I have, I think that's just the growth. And I was talking to my friend when I was writing the project, and I was like, this is probably going to be a visual album. And it was right when Lemonade dropped, and she was like, what, you can't be Beyonce from the jump? Like, she's like, you can't be Beyonce. And I think that it was really good feedback at that point, because I would have got really crushed under all of the weight of trying to make that happen.
Right.
And honestly, a visual album is going to be constantly in my mind, and when the time comes, when the right people are around and we have the right resources, it's going to be a move. But for Priceless Life, I think it's something that is, like you said, digestible right now as right. cinema, and for everyone that's going to be different. And the idea of Priceless Life was, it is about me and it's my identity, but it's for other people to find themselves in that.
Right.
And I think that it allows them to do that more when there's not a strict visual of like, because I would see myself portrayed in all of those different stages of life, and especially how like Father Son is, it's like the home video footage, right? And so it's like that's very concrete. I think that you can find like a relationship that, or it touches you in something that you remember, but at the same time, like, I want there to be little ideas in here, but for the rest of it, just like, people will be able to pick it up and find themselves in this Priceless Life.
Just experience.
Yeah, just experience.
It is an experience. And I definitely found myself relating to some things, and I feel like everybody can when it comes to the stuff that you're doing, because you're so brutally honest at times. And my friend, I've had him on this podcast, Son Anthony, he's also my best friend, my producer, when it comes to beats and stuff. He's always struggled with like writing from the heart, meaning writing stuff that is meaningful to him. A lot of it being darker as a reflection of what you think. Sometimes you feel a little vulnerable when you're doing something like that, and when a lot of your persona comes out in your art. I'm not sure if you ever feel that shyness, because that just doesn't seem like you. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but like when you write, you just kind of spit from the heart, and you don't really worry about making anything sound cool, I feel like, because when there's a lot of times where I can feel that when you're rapping, there's a lot of emotion. Your voice starts to go on this tangent where it's just like, I'm just pouring this out. Like that's how your flow is. Your flow is like, get I going and that kind of stuff. Like it gets like that, and then you come back down to like this singing. So like, is there ever a time where you feel like, oh, maybe I should hold back a little bit? Like what is your take on that?
Yo, that's such a great question, bro. Like, kudos, because I love talking about this. And for me, initially when I was writing, I knew that was the switch from I Knew Luna to Priceless Life. Was I Knew Luna was this safe place where I was writing things that I knew would be cool, and I knew that other people would vibe with, because I had performed them, I had shown them to different people, and they were like, yeah, this is dope. But I went to Encore, the National Conference of Race and Ethnicity, and it was San Francisco, right? And I talked to this one boy, this old head I met in the bathroom, and we just started talking about hip hop.
Right.
He was Ernie Paniccioli. I probably butchered his last name, but he was a legendary hip hop photographer. He showed me pictures of Biggie, Pac, Lauryn Hill, Tribe, bro. Like just everybody.
Sweet.
Like everybody. He was there for the incept, like the huge paradigm shift of hip hop coming out into mainstream, right? And so he just sat me down and he asked me all these questions. What's your artistic identity? What are you trying to do with your art? What is your themes? And I was sitting there like, I don't know. And I was like, you know, trying to be cool. I'm trying to be hip with it. I'm like, yeah, bro, I don't know. It's like love. And he's like, but he could tell that I lacked a lot of substance in my answer. And he's like, I want you to think on those questions. And yo, I left so inspired that night. We were in a big hotel, bro. I went right out. That night, I snuck out my room and just started. I wrote, that's when I wrote Prodigal Son, bro.
Sweet.
The beat came through. I was like, yo, I remember looking out this window and just thinking about, like, the life in general. And that's before I thought about Priceless Life. And I just started writing those tracks. But, oh, yeah, going back to that is, at that moment, I realized that I couldn't hold back if I wanted to really do what I wanted with the project. And so every project or every song I wrote after that had to be personal. But I do think about that now, especially I was talking to my friend about this, is like it's hard to do that because I'm not even trying to be like, oh, what I do is hard, but at the same time, when you put out a video of your dad and your family, right, and you're talking about the pain involved with that,
right,
it's hard not to get caught up in how people take that in.
Right.
It's hard not to be like, all right, how many people view this video? How many people do I think would have viewed this video? Or how did people take it in, right? Whereas if I'm talking about like going to the club and I'm drunk, I don't really, that's not so much of me. That if people don't vibe with that, then they just didn't vibe with it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if they didn't vibe with my blood, my soul, you know, it's
take it personal.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
Right.
So it's something that I definitely have been keeping in mind as I'm writing another project. And I think there's benefits to portraying the cool or being a vehicle for cool, because
I like how you call it the cool, man. I've never had anyone call it, but I know what you're saying. It's the quote unquote relatable art.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think cool is a really terrible word in general, especially as like we're talking about our community, right? Because it's so transferable and not in a good sense. It's like cool is different with who you're around.
Right.
I think I like to say that I'm getting close to smooth. But smooth is better than like cool, because cool, and I wrote the poem on Instagram, is like cool is just comfortable.
Right.
That's just like the bull that was outside of the circle that was laughing at who was ever in the middle.
Right.
And that was always me in the middle, dancing and doing wild stuff just to get people's attention.
Right.
I was never cool and I never will be cool. But
I don't know about that.
People say it all the time, but I think that there's definitely a benefit to being a little bit of both, being yourself, but also like providing an outlet for people who want to have, you know, lose themselves for a moment in the vibe of the party, or you know, a high or stuff like that. As long as it's controlled, I think that it's like that's important too. I mean, you can't put one portion of art over another. But yeah, it is definitely interesting, the difference between the two. Yeah,
to me anyway, that's what makes your stuff so attractive, and I think that's what makes your stuff attractive to most people, is the fact that you don't shy away from stuff like that. Is your emotion is being conveyed in that art. And I've had people tell me that, you know, like creative professionals say like the key to making like a convincing movie or a film or any kind of story is to evoke feeling from somebody. Like, you know, you got done watching a good sad movie if you're actually crying.
Yeah.
If it's not, you know, if it was bad and it was sad, it's just like, okay. But I've walked away listening to Priceless Life, and of course that video, which a lot of people have been affected by, you know, feeling some type of way. And not to delve too deeply into that, but like, just explain to me the process for making that video. So you obtained old family footage. What was it like putting that together? Like, how did you feel about that?
Yeah, that was one of those feelings. A lot of the feelings with art is a wave will come to me, and it's like, I gotta get this done. So I was chilling at home. I think it was over Thanksgiving break, and I had, you know, the song was written and everything, and I always had this vision of paying tribute to my dad,
right?
And kind of like immortalizing him through art.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at home, and I knew I had watched all the home videos, like, you know, hundreds of times. You know, I knew all the images in my mind, and I was like, the tapes were starting to fade, and all these different, there was a lot of like scratches in it and stuff. I was like, bro, we got to get this done. Like, I got to record this. So what I ended up doing was I borrowed my friend's camera. I threw that. I like cropped it perfectly so it was just the borderlines of the television, and I was in actually.
So all that footage wasn't like. That was a camera showing.
Yeah,
I
cropped it. I was in my dad's old room, and I was like on the TV, just like cropped that with the borderlines of the television, turned all the lights off in the room, and stayed up till like 4 a.m. just like throwing tape in, recording all of it, taking the tape out, next one, boom, boom, boom.
Wow.
And then I would be like trying to vision where all of the like right cuts were, but then then basically just went through all that footage and then got all the beautiful moments of like him and tried to look at all the footage and figure out how I could tell the story the best.
Right.
And a lot of it was like that song really like Father Son is me crying out to him and then him answering me in the refrain, right? So that was really what I wanted to go through with the video, is showing me and my turmoil even as a kid. And do a lot of still shots that were just myself without him, and then reintroduce him in the second part with like him and like all the love that he shared with our family, and how it just constantly pours out of him. And like what was really cool was like to see that, knowing that like any room he stepped into, he would just bring so much light into it, but seeing that transference through film and like through the computer, because it's like that I shared that through Facebook, so it was like interesting to see people take that in and still be able to pick up on his love through through a video and through the internet was really dope.
Nah, man, like, you totally did that whole feeling justice. What you described, man, it totally came across in that medium, and that's why people react to it that way. And it's just to support my previous point, like it made people feel. I love that, man. It was so cool. And then you went and did this other video in the woods. Tell me about that, because I know you were holding back on that story, but like what exactly happened
bro
there?
It's really cool. A lot of the when an idea for a video comes to me, it's so quick, and it's like it smacks me like a bus, bro. Dude. It just hits me, and I'm like, all of it hits me out. I see the entire image, and I'll just be chilling in my bathroom or something, bro. I'll be like, oh crap, and I'll run and write it down.
Right.
And for some reason, to me, I was really inspired actually by Donald Glover, by Childish Gambino's Flight of the Navigator, John, where he's got like they're in the bathroom and they're like throwing stuff at each other, and I saw that at the bottom, and I was really, really inspired by that, and I was like, I need to be in the woods with stream, and there has to be like this water aspect.
So specific.
And there's got to be like this woman, and there's got to be this really like mystical feel about it.
Right.
And so I just started writing out the images for that.
You storyboarded it? Is that what you
did?
did?
The storyboard.
Okay,
I
cool.
guess I'm really like, it's cool because I have a hand in film, but I'm not. I mean, with all these different aspects of art, which is I'm not trained in them, so I don't know the words. I just kind of like fall into a lot of the different places. But
drawing it out is basically storyboarding when it comes to a video.
So that's what I did, was just storyboarded it, and then I was talking to my friend Leary. I was like, bro, you want to do this with me? And homie's been with me since the first performance we did.
I feel like it's easy to recruit people though if you're you just have this charisma about you. It's like, man, you want to do this with me? Like, of course, I know it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be awesome. But
it's been easier too now, especially that like people who have been down for me have been able to like help me convey that vision,
right?
Because at the same time, I'm like I said, I don't know what I'm talking about, so it could be very frustrating for people who've been through it and have been on like professional sets, and it's just me in the woods like, I'm gonna be hanging from a tree, and then when we're done in post, we're gonna flip it in reverse, so it's like you think I'm like upside down, but you don't know if I'm, you know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that it's really helpful to have people that are under like really have a good attitude and understanding of like what my mind is going, like what's going through my mind, and like being able to get that out, especially with not having as much experience as them.
What can and cannot be done. A lot of times that's hard to convey. But that video was sick too, man. Like, I feel like everything that you approach it stems from a random idea, and that I think I've talked about that before on this podcast, where it's like you never know when inspiration's gonna strike, but when it does, like you have to be cognizant of it. Like man, like you know, you a lot of people say right before they fall asleep, like when they're lying in bed, like that's because people are trying to fall asleep, they're thinking about a bunch of things. That's when creative ideas come. For me, again, in the shower is definitely some time that it comes. And I usually try and I use my phone nowadays, and my phone is just full of notes, bro. Unorganized. I used to organize them by like title. It'd be like rap idea, movie idea, book idea. But like now it's just like I can't be bothered to put a title, so I'm just like I write down the movie idea real quick. I put it like that. But it's cool because you know, I feel like what you're doing now is a combination of the stuff that, correct me if I'm wrong, you do as hobbies, like play a guitar. I'm not sure how long you've been playing the guitar, but acting. I knew you used to act for Smash and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's all coming together. But like, how far back does your musical background go? Like, how long have you been doing kind of stuff like that?
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting. I feel like I was somewhere in the womb, like vibing to Teddy Pendergrass and Al Green. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And from that, like, I've just been so captivated by music coming up, but I was never in a place in my younger days to feel like I was confident enough to call myself an artist or to even try.
Right.
So I always was writing, like, I think around 15 and 16 is when I was writing heavy. And it was like, I always say I found writing out of necessity.
When you say writing, what kind of stuff were you writing?
It was really, really crappy raps and like really crappy poems. It was like terrible AV rhyme scheme, but it was like, yo, I'm in a dark place. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that.
I'm in the park. It's dark.
Yeah.
I heard a bark.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly. And like, yeah, and I would just be like always trying to freestyle and stuff. So I think that was me coming up as like that age was writing raps and trying to freestyle. And I also was very lucky and blessed. When I was in 7th grade, I took guitar lessons.
Right.
So that's when I learned like G chords, C chords. But it's really interesting. So
was that something you want to do, or did your parents make you do?
No, I think I was like, yeah, I'd be dope to be a guitar player. You know what I'm saying? Okay. It was like that idea, but then I started doing it, and I mean, I still loved it. I loved it. I loved music, but that was 7th grade, and I started playing basketball in 9th grade. Okay. So it was like those 2 years, and then I got into the cool. And as soon as I was playing the basketball,
I love that term. Continue,
yeah. And as soon as I started playing basketball, bro, I was like, oh, music is not this. That's kind of like old, bro. That's not the cool thing to do. And I lost that. So it's really interesting, especially like to reclaim it through this Priceless Life and talk about that stage of like how lost I was. I was running without actually having my sights set. And now it's like when I was doing Priceless Life, my sights were so set. There was nothing that could take me away from that. Right. And I was like, I gotta go. Yeah. So that's really what. Yeah. So I think so. 7th grade, I was doing guitar lessons 2 years, then put it out, and then my homie actually borrowed my guitar my freshman year of college, and bro, it was like I was seeing him play, and that was like, yo, I should be playing that, and that's when it kind of like. Thankful for him because he took it away from me, and I was like, it's odd that you have to have it taken away to have to want it again.
Like so many things in life.
Yeah,
but that's so true. You know, it's when you let somebody borrow something, you're like, man, that was. I haven't watched that movie in a while. Or like,
yeah,
oh, man, I kind of want to play that video game. That's how it was with you and that guitar.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. And then that's where that started.
Yeah. So then I asked it back for him sophomore year, and then that's when I started. I looked up like best guitar chords, and it was just these really jazzy guitar chords that I had not learned before, and then I wrote my first really, really crappy guitar song. It was called like Cupcake or something. And it was a love song, and then I was just jamming, bro, every day because I loved it. I'd finally gotten back to it, and I was like hearing, and my voice was at a point where I was able to like sing and not completely hate it. So I was getting so much out of it that it was just like the growth was really, really quick. And that was the cool thing about it, was the metamorphosis of knowing for so long that I love music and I had an ear for music. I was always listening, right? I knew what the really good music was. Yeah. And I knew what qualities made that music good, and I could articulate that, but I didn't have enough trust in myself to to actually explore what I could do as an artist.
Yeah.
And so to have that happen so quickly really felt like a godsend, bro. And especially like after losing my dad too, is like needing a sort of like outlet and the therapy, and knowing that writing, like I said, was I found it as a necessity from the jump.
Right.
Because of like all the darkness and pain that was in my life at that time, was my way to get it out of me and to get it out of my body.
Yeah.
To be reintroduced to that in a complete time of need was just like that. I think that's why the growth came so quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I feel you. And we all grow from somewhere. I mean, when I first started rapping, it was the same exact thing. I was writing this awful, like, if anybody found it, they should just be like, what is, like, no, you're no, like,
yeah.
you know. And I think when I started rapping, it was at church, man. I used to freestyle with these kids after church at night, and right, and my friend Dante at the time, he was like, pull me aside, he's like, hey man, you gotta get better at freestyling. He's like, you're pretty bad. He's
oh
like,
dang!
So he was just like,
he was real.
Yeah, but bro, I must have been like, I don't know, like 13 years old. So like he was just like, you need to listen to Eric B and Rakim, and you need to listen to Paid in Full. Listen to the whole thing. He's like, and it'll teach you how to rap. And I never ever forgot that. Like, really, basically learning how to rhyme and write a good rap song, or basically just have rhymes in your arsenal to just throw down any time. It just takes a lot of listening to other artists and rappers. Like, people ask me like, yo, like, how can I write this song, or like, how can I rap? And like, I'm not a rap guru or anything. I'm not even that good, but like, I made a bunch of stuff, and honestly, man, like, it's all about who you listen to and what you listen to all the time. It teaches you how to rap. Like, show me a rapper right now who's big, who wasn't inspired by another rapper. People are always giving props to all these other people, because like, that's how you learn, is from listening to other people.
Definitely.
Which brings me to my next question. What's your inspiration right now? What are you listening to?
Oh, yo.
What are you really peeping right now?
Yo, this is the best. Your questions keep getting better, bro. But it's so important that you're saying that. Like, inspiration and how art is continually, how we grow just from listening.
Right. And
for me, it's like I'm being really pushed in so many different directions, like in terms of music, right? So I was the funny thing I said earlier is like, I had to be in the womb bouncing to some soul music, because the songs that I wrote were before I actually listened to soul music heavy. Like, I'd known about soul music, but I just have been listening heavily to soul music now, and I'm so inspired, bro. Like, I'm listening to, and also funk too. Like, I'm listening to Parliament and Funkadelic, bro. I'm like, yo, I'm like, how have I not been on this? Right. And so I think it's just about, like, because I've been listening to, when I wrote Priceless Life is right when Coloring Book had come out. And I remember listening to Israel Sparring, bro. Chance and No Name, that little random SoundCloud joint they did, that they just go on this boom bap type hip hop beat. Bro, they both absolutely slayed and destroyed that beat. And at that point I was like, how are they both on this next level lyrically? Right. And to me, especially, like, and listening, like, I was writing songs and it had Coloring Book to kind of like compare and contrast. I was like, I need to push my lyrics to the next level, to try and even like have a sliver of Chances and No Names, who I think are some of the best lyricists right now, a sliver of their content, you know what I'm saying? So they're huge inspirations. Childish Gambino is the hugest inspiration, especially as I'm looking at my next project. Yeah. Because he is huge for our generation, I feel like, because he's who opened the door for me to reintroduce myself to, like, Al Green, Teddy Pendergrass, Stevie Wonder, bro, and just like jamming to these artists that are so pivotal that we don't even, a lot of our generation, and I mean, I don't even mean, because a lot of our generation does, but like a lot of people our age don't really pay homage to as much nowadays. No. Because I mean to our defense, there's so much music out that it's hard to be
now, like, more than ever.
Yeah, now more than ever. Like, it's like, yo, it's like Saba, Smino, Kendrick, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Migos, all these
Migos, bro. It's like so many projects. Like, Childish Gambino, it's like so many projects has popped out. J. Cole too is like, that is hard to. I mean, because we as hip hop artists want to pay homage, like you said, to those artists and listen to their music, but then also I'm trying to find new inspiration outside of what I've been listening to for so long. Right. But yeah, I guess I went through it in a lot of different ways, but right now I say my heaviest inspirations my hugest inspiration will always be Andre 3000, bro. Like, I'm telling you, when I'm having a hard day, bro, I'll throw on Vibrate.
Right.
I'll actually throw on Vibrate and Flight of the Navigator on repeat and listen to them the whole day. You know what I'm saying? Like, those songs I could just throw on repeat because they're so I guess, like, I can't even think of the word. I want to say melodramatic, but I don't even know if that's the right word. But they just put you in this zone where it's just like palatable.
Yeah.
It's like it's like this continual, perpetual feeling of numbness in a way that is really that's how I would put it. But I mean, like, it's just like, yeah, it's these really weird, these really interesting waves that they put me on that I feel like at peace.
It's comfort food music.
Yeah.
Everyone has stuff like that.
Yeah, it's comfort for the soul, and it just kind of wraps you up. So it's like those songs. Andre is a huge inspiration. Childish is a huge inspiration.
Well, they both have a lot of energy. A lot of the delivery is very like, boom, boom, kind of like, whoa. Especially with Andre 3000, you know, he's definitely like that.
Yo, and their projects are very. If we think of like, The Love Below and Because the Internet, two projects I feel like are so ahead of their time.
Yeah. And
projects that you have to continually listen to. I keep listening to them all the way through, and I'll find one new thing that I learned about them. Right. Or one thing that I didn't pick up before. And it's like out of this world. That's the why. Like, you have to get up to like, now I sound like a J. Cole stan, bro. Like, yo, you won't understand. You won't understand. You got to get to this next level.
The J. Cole fans be like, tweets. My friend Ann loves those, man. They're so funny.
But at the same time, like, there's certain artists that just put a project out that's like, it's on the next millennium. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that stuff was somewhere else.
Yeah, I got you. I do. But no, I get that, man. And it's because of the internet that we get access to so much stuff, man. That's why, like, now, honestly, man, to say this, like, man, I don't know. Honestly, it would be good to be a rapper coming up if you lived in the 90s, because, like, I feel like when that genre was, like, really popping, like, actual, like, hardcore, very raw hip-hop. But I think now is, like, the second time to be a rapper, because there's so many people that are getting discovered online, and they're making stuff that's, like, changing the game. Yeah, and they made it almost unwittingly. Like, they just put it on SoundCloud. Yeah. And it's just crazy, like you said, how many people have come out of that. But Childish, he's a special case. That's somebody who I like to call savant. You know, he's a comedian. He is an actor. He is a rapper. He is what he chooses to be. And I think that's what's so dope about him. And that's why this generation is obsessed with him. Rightfully so, man. Like, he's awesome, dude. I remember watching, like, some Derek comedy. You ever watch, like, his early comedy stuff?
Oh, I literally just peeped that the other night. That's funny that you say that, because I was on Reddit somewhere and they was talking about his come up, and then I watched one of those videos. Like, dang, I watched the one that he was doing the film about the one girl that was sitting in the front. Yeah.
He's doing the class presentation.
yeah. And he's doing the film that's talking about her, like, cheating on him.
Yeah, and he just, like, keeps like, it's a great one, man.
Yeah, bro. I was like, yo, this is genius.
He does a whole bunch like that. It's kind of like Key and Peele with multiple people. Yeah. But, dude, like, it's actually really funny. And if you think about a jack of all trades, you know, somebody who does a lot of things, but a good job at them, you know, he does a really good job at a lot of things, which is, like, something that's rare. Yeah. But something I strive for, man. I strive in excellence in all my projects, and you probably do the same exact thing, you know, and which brings us to, like, my next point. Like, how long from the conception of Priceless Life to, like, its actual completion, how long were you thinking about that? Because I remember when we were having lunch at Morgan, you actually told me, you're like, look, like, this next album is just the story of me. Like, that's what you said. And I remember you saying that so long ago. Yeah. And I didn't even know you were talking about Priceless Life, because I didn't think you had a name for it yet. But you're like, this one's just like the story of me. And I was like, that sounds dope. I can't wait. Yeah. But, like, how long in retrospect did that whole thing take you?
I think that's interesting, because I think these projects, the ideas for full projects, are living in me now. They're inside of me before I know them. And so, like, yeah, Priceless Life had to be inside me, because that was this story of my life, right? But I think when I really, really was like, okay, now I have the boundaries for this project, was, like I said, around June, when I went to that conference. When I came back on fire, I was like, I know now. It was it's the funny thing is they lie dormant inside of you until someone or some inspiration wakes them up in you. And so that's when it happened, was like June. Like I knew I wanted to do an introductory project to me, but I didn't know it was Priceless Life until like June 5th.
Right.
When I talked to the bull Ernie, and I was like, yo, all right, I know. And I wrote that first song. So then it was like from June until October was the entire month that I recorded it. So it was like all of that time writing and like getting the right things together for it and getting all of the sounds together. So I don't know how many months that is, but around that time, I think it was maybe like 6 months, I think.
Man.
And so that's what I think I like to operate on that right now. It's like a 6 month period.
Yeah.
Because this coming June then will be 6 months from when Priceless Life first dropped.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to have like something together by then. I've an entire project that's written out, and we've been recording for about three weeks now. So it's just trying to work on that. But it's a lot more work because this is a full album now. This is like an album.
What can you tell me about that without getting too deep into it that you don't want to divulge too much?
I think I just want to say it's a project that is gonna be something that you would hear in a liquor store or a
What do you mean?
cookout.
But what do you mean by that?
Like just like okay, like a liquor store on like in like North Philly, like just
All right.
soul music. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like this is gonna be the soul.
Right.
The soul. So like, Priceless Life was the bones of the body, or like that was the blood. I feel like Priceless Life was the blood. This is about to be the soul and like what transcends out of that.
Cool.
So I don't know if it's a prequel or a sequel.
All right.
But it's definitely in the same vein.
Yeah, but there's a bit more complexity to this one this time around.
Sound wise, it'll be probably more complex.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of more on like it's closer to the cool. If we're gonna keep using the term, it's closer to like the cool. Is more like it's smoothed out because it is the soul. It's something that I think needs to be something that we all can relate to, and that's like love. That's mostly just love.
I got you, man. It doesn't have to be deeper than it is, but
yeah,
you know, I've always felt like there's something about soul music. There's something about black gospel music, man, where it's just like it gives you this very powerful feeling, and music in general, like music can really affect your mood.
Yeah.
You know, like I've always been fans of those two genres. You know, just specific songs, not really even specific artists. That stuff is cool. It's just cool how it continues to inspire. You know.
Yeah, bro, you got me thinking now. I need to do some gospel stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think of, like, projects.
Well, Kanye kind of went in that direction when he did Ultralight Beams, man. In the beginning, it was very, very church-like. And it struck me. I was like, wow, like, I didn't expect... Well, kind of. I mean, God is a lot of his themes recently. You know, that's been on a lot of his themes. So I kind of expect that.
Well, even since Jesus Walks, too.
Yeah, you
like,
know what,
you're
right.
always been had these, like, spiritual feelings.
Yeah.
And he was saying it was going to be a gospel album when he was doing that release was, like, that would be historic release. Because that was... That joint was all over the place, bro. It's just like, wow. But, yeah, it was really, really cool to see that. All right, it was like that. It was like that, right? And then he's, like... talking about bleached assholes.
Yeah.
Like
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so it's like wild, and so it's like
his last song, I just realized what you meant.
Yeah. So
the first song, Ultralight Beam, and it goes to part 1 or part 2? Father Stretch My Hands.
Yeah,
and then that lyric.
Part 1.
But yeah, man, that's always been him, dude. He's just like, well, not always. I can't say that. We're gonna get to that old Kanye argument or conversation, which I hate because I've had it so many times. But like, he's just changed, and the moral of the story is that artists change. So if you're upset with it, then maybe you're not appreciative of the artist. That's all I gotta say about that. So
keep speaking that truth.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you know, but yeah, I don't know. He's crazy. He literally is. Like, literally, not crazy. Like, crazy. He's nuts, but he makes good stuff, man. But yeah.
Yeah, hopefully he gets help, bro. I mean, I feel like he definitely did when he was in the hospital, but he's doing all right, man.
Yeah, I think he's doing all right now. I remember Kid Cudi was kind of going through some stuff, too, which I was like, whoa, man. And I didn't expect to see that.
It's so important, especially in the black community, to be able to, like, to have artists who are, like, yeah, mental health is real, bro. Like, because I think that, especially with artists, we just immortalize them and feel like they don't go through what we're all going through. But if we do, like, I think people been calling Kid Cudi crazy since he was talking about, like, since Day and Night pretty much. Like, I toss and turn, I keep stressing him. Like, when he's another homie that's been really honest about what he's going through. But yeah, then people kind of get down on, or then he's been getting that criticism from being real, and then it's like at some point you just like break down and it's like, yeah, you got to get help. So I'm glad that they did get help on that. I'm glad that they they got the support they needed.
It's hard. I think it's harder for people who are in that kind of scenario, man, because like everybody needs help eventually, but it's hard to seek out mental help when so many eyes are on you, man. That's tough, and I feel like that's a no-brainer, but people don't really think about that, and then people are mad and sensitive about it because it's somebody who's famous.
That's a good point.
Where if it was somebody you knew, you would never say half the things you're saying, man.
Yeah.
So the people that say God bless, get some help, like those people are in the right, but there's always gonna be people that be like, oh, yo, he's just all drugs and stuff like that. You don't know that, man. You have no idea what this guy's going through. That's a crazy life, man. Being famous, I think about it often, man. It's never really been something I wanted, but it's the ambition of a lot of people,
Yeah.
I feel like all I've ever wanted was to be happy making things, man. And I'm just happy doing what I want to do, I guess, not just making things. But I feel like that's you too. You're happy just like making stuff.
Yeah.
and that's when you're somebody who creates, your ambition should be like, man, I just want to be able to make what I make for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
I feel like that should be everybody who makes stuff ambition.
Exactly.
Instead of being like, I'm trying to get rich off this. and that's to me, and this is not a diss to anybody, so don't take this the wrong way, but like that is the origin, this influx of these people who are making rap music specifically. I'm specifically counting rap music. A lot of other genres are guilty of it. That is just so cookie cutter, classic, like I don't know, man. There's just no heart in it, and there's a whole bunch of people coming up like, yo, this is my career. Don't worry about it being your career right now. Just make something you're proud of. Are you proud of it?
Dang.
And then worry about making that into a career, man. First, you got to make something that like you are cool having your real name attached to it.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it, man. And that's what I've tried to do with all my projects. So, that's just a tricky subject, man.
Bro, that's such a good word. That's such a good word.
Yeah.
I think that we put a lot of stress on ourselves.
Right.
Because that's the bait. Like, at the end of the day, the bait is the fame, the money,
right,
the freedom.
Right.
And I think that when we're talking about something as important as what we love, what our expression, our soul, that it's sad that those things would be what, like, takes that, like you said, makes it cookie cutter and takes that away.
Right.
But it's so easy to get caught up in it, I feel like, and especially in our society that's like, like capitalistic and very individualistic. Is like the rappers that we know and love are, showing us and expressing the lifestyle that they're living, and we take that as the bait, as like we want that instead of being able to tell our story. So I think it's about supporting those artists that are just telling them their story.
Exactly. And it's like you said, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and I know you've been in this space, man. We are working on something and you can't put down that song because there's so many things you want to change. You keep coming back and you change something, and like you just like, you make a draft of something and you're like, but my voice is sounding weird on that last bar, like I just want to redo that. And then you redo that, but you're like, but is the volume of my vocals too low and the beat's too loud? I gotta adjust that. And you look at the clock of time in general, like, weeks and days. You're like, man, am I ever gonna put this out? Because I keep coming back and adjusting it.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, like, when, in your opinion, when you're ready to put something out, do you just know? Like, you're like, I just know that this is it. Like, when do you get to, like, when that point is at something? Like, when you actually just let it go? Because for me, like, it's when I read it all the way through, or I listen to it all the way through, and I'm like, I would enjoy this. I would enjoy listening to this. That's why I let it go. Because if I look any more in detail at it, I'm never gonna put it down. I'm gonna keep adding stuff on it. So what's the cutoff point for you, I guess, is what I'm asking.
I think for me, it's easiest to do it track by track.
Okay.
Like, I'll know when I got a good take on that on a song. I'll know when that song is to the point where I feel like I'm happy with it.
So you just know. You're just like,
yeah,
this is it.
It's just like when I can listen to it and not cringe at certain parts. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I meant by that. When I listen to it, it's like I would enjoy this. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
If you don't cringe it when you hear yourself at like, because there's definitely that point when you hear like a mistake or.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mistake to you, but someone would probably gloss over it.
Yeah, they'd be like, it was
a
dope.
mistake could be like you didn't fully pronunciate the word, or your delivery was like slightly off, right? To me, when I can listen to all of it and been like, and I feel like I, even listening to it for like the 53rd time, right, can still feel the energy from that, then I'm like, all right, it's a wrap.
Right.
As for an entire project, I was like listening. I think I kept listening to Priceless Life all the way through, but I would listen to it as like when it was not completely mixed or when it was in different parts, right? And so like I just the whole day, the day until the night before I released it, was just listening through over and over and over again. And every time I listened to it, I was getting more hype, and then that's when I was like, all right, it's right.
Yeah, it's right.
But at the same time, like Priceless Life, I kind of rushed to
completion.
Yeah, I kind of rushed it to completion. I put out a date, and I had already said that I was going to release I Knew Luna at June 15th, and then completely missed that, Joe, and they didn't say nothing, bro.
Yo, that's why I hate putting deadlines out there. Yeah. I no longer ever do it, by the way.
Yeah.
I did it for this podcast, and I completely take it back. Because when you don't deliver on it, you're just super hard on yourself.
Yeah.
You got to realize, man, like, you're young. Like, the rhythm of your life right now is different than what it will be in 10 years when you have more of a stable lifestyle. Like, you're a student who's transitioning. Like, there's not really a time, like, for you to just be like, it will be at this date, man. Life doesn't work that way unless you're a corporation. But I think we're so used to seeing that stuff. Like, we're just, that's how we approach it. We're just trying to mimic what we see. But you're right, dude. I never, ever do that anymore because I'm just like, I feel so salty when it's that date. Or somebody texts you and be like, yo, where's it at?
Yo, bro.
Hey, where's it at? I'm looking at your Facebook. Yo, did you drop it? You're just like, about that. Bro, you see I had a party.
How am I thinking about when you and I be talking, and when I was like first talking about a project, and I was like, yo, bro, I got 15 tracks written out. It's going to be done in 2 weeks. Yo, it's just like learning. It's like that growth.
It is.
Like,
you're right. It's growing.
Yeah, like knowing that it takes so much time.
Right.
And it's not linear. Like, this art is not linear. You can't put in 2 hours and know that it's going to be ready in that 2 hours.
Right.
Because you're going to put in 2 hours and then realize that you got to work. You went like backwards in some days or some sessions. So it's just like knowing that, I think that I've been feeling a lot more free about that, especially knowing that next project I do, I want it to be like a little more. I want almost to be timeless. Nice. It's like you come back to it because there's things I look back to Priceless Life for the videos, and I'm like, there's different things I want to change, right? So I want to really just put everything into a project, and I don't think you can do that if you're like trying to meet these deadlines.
Real quick, would you ever consider redoing anything on Priceless Life? Oh. Like some kind of remastered version?
Yo.
Not to say that it needs that way, but like, I'm just asking you how you feel about it.
I would do. That's such a good. I think I would do. I don't know if it would be a remaster or like it would be the same concept in a way, but I want to do it at like the end of my stage.
Okay.
Or like when there's just I have so many more resources that I can make all the sound my own, because it's really interesting to have Priceless Life be a mixtape, right? That is a story about me, but the beats they're not like created by me. It was things I heard that touched me and brought me to that place. Yeah. But imagine being able to create music from that place, like organically. So
this is exciting to me. So if Priceless Life is your intro piece, then you have an outro piece that is like the same formula, but now it's like the end of your like. Okay, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, because I think in projects, and I think like each project I want to be, like almost a reflection, or like. Like I think of them as like, imagine skipping a rock,
right?
And hitting a wall and it coming the opposite direction.
Bounces
That's what
back.
I want my projects to be like that. So like Priceless Life was gritty. It was mostly hip hop. I want to do a soul album. Then after that, I want to do trap. and then I want to think about gospel.
You're just dropping bombs on me. You're gonna do trap?
Yeah, bro. I want to do a trap. And I'm talking to collaborating with different artists, like producers, because I want to. That's the vibe, bro. Like, trap inspires me so much, just as much as like Stevie Wonder does. You know what I'm saying? Or Childish Gambino did. I think trap is so important, and so many people are like just basically throwing trap under the bus because we want to get in this like philosophical debate about intelligence in music.
Well, nah, man.
Yeah, and it's just like, bro, how, like, first off, intelligence in general, like, when we think about all there is to know in this world, how can we say that one bull is more intelligent?
Well, music doesn't always have to be intelligent. Exactly. I mean, sometimes it can be fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I say cookie cutter, I was talking about people who are making music just to make money. There's no heart and soul in it. But, man, a lot of these trap songs, you're feeling happy. You're feeling what these people are feeling, man. Like, who's the one you're...
Designer.
Yo, he loves Designer, man.
Oh, snap.
He said something to me, Jay, if I could just quote you. He was like, I want to be like Designer because every time he's in an interview, he just seems so happy.
Exactly. I saw the interview with Nardwuar. Did you see the interview? Yo, bro, that was so much joy.
Did you see the it was like a music video for Outlet?
Nah.
He did a music video for Outlet, and it was kind of like he had a makeup artist getting him ready for the shoot, like, behind the scenes. But he was like bouncing up to the chair, like hyping himself up.
Yo,
and,
yeah.
Like, he was just being a clown, like behind the scenes. I'm just like I think he's the type of dude, like no matter how much money he makes, how much fans he gets, he's just happy because he's loved what he's doing. Like, he's doing what he wants to do.
Definitely. And he's been grinding. Like, to hear his story, bro, of like how much work he put into that is so dope. And I think that's how you become the person that shares that light with other people. Yeah. When you embrace what you're doing, no matter what you do, like. When you're someone that genuinely, like you said, loves what you're doing, you share that light without even knowing it because you just are like in the moment, bro. And I think that it's so important to surround yourself with people that are like that. And I definitely feel that from you. As soon as we was in the car, bro, just talking, I was like, you feel that light in conversation of like that transference of energy. Yeah. And so it's cool to be in a community that celebrates that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, man. That's real nice.
Yeah.
But we're coming up on 5. You need to get out of here? What's up?
I'm chilling, bro.
You're chilling?
All right, I'm in the zone.
Let's keep going, then,
let's
man.
go.
You just let me know when you got to leave. We can edit this stuff or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
But, yeah, man. I mean, by Designer, man, I just like Timmy Turner. I don't know. There's something about that song, man, where, he... it's Timmy with 2 eyes. A lot of people already know this, man. But he himself is Timmy Turner. Like, I like songs like that. It's kind of like what you did, you know what I'm saying? Where it's about you. But I'm on trap, too, man. I think trap is cool. It's definitely the future. And it's going to last for a while. So if anybody's sick of that, I got bad news for you. There's going to be a lot of trap, bro. 2018, a lot of trap. I'm telling you right now, man. But that's cool that you're going to get on that. And, man, you're just... you have so many plans. You're gonna do gospel and trap, so you're not afraid to just go into these different genres. For you, it is about music. Like, it's not just rapping.
Yeah, bro.
It's about music.
It's so much that inspires me musically that I want to be able to captivate that through projects, and I want to be able to do projects that when you listen to it, you're like, wait, what? Like because you already have an idea in your mind of what it would sound like what a sound is. Because so many artists have a sound that I want to be like, and Childish kind of does that too. But I want to be able to do that like each project is a pivot, and that's what I'm glad that this is like almost in writing now. It's like concrete because I want to be able to like revisit this and think back to where my mind was as we're talking about projects, because it's something that's really fun to me to see how that art touches people, and you can't do that with just doing the same thing over and over again.
No, that's totally true. I mean, a lot of people rely on you for some sort of consistency in their mind, right? Like, there is, exactly like you said, a sound, but to be confined to that is difficult. You should never feel confined. But again, back to the podcast, that's a big reason why I do all this, is because I like to have a snapshot for artists to come look back on, because I wish I had that sometimes, where like I listened to like some songs I like was rapping in high school. I was like, what was I thinking about? I wish I could listen to an interview of myself like when I was, because I don't even remember, like I don't even know, so that's kind of another reason why I started this. But the fact that you're doing so many different things, you plan to do so many different things is cool. But back to that whole thing where it's like, there's no set time for this to come out. I feel like the new way for artists is they just drop stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that one Drake album that just came out of nowhere, and everybody was freaking out. Like I feel like that's the new thing. There's no like coming soon. It's just like boom, it's here.
Yeah.
And I guess it's better if you have a huge following.
Exactly.
But I mean, you were probably thinking that when I was saying that. But like I don't know. I like that whole approach, man, because it's just a pleasant surprise. You're just like, I'm so pleasantly surprised by this. That's how I feel like I'm just gonna do things in the future, man. That's kind of what it was with this. Like I just kind of brought this up out of nowhere. I only told like a few people about like I was gonna do this, and then it's cool, man. It's just cool to have people, come up to me and be like, yo, like how's the show going? Like I listened to an episode, and it's probably the same way when you meet somebody that listens to your song. You feel like I'm just speaking for me. I feel really humbled, man.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yo, that's so cool. It's almost like I can't thank this person enough because like now they just absorbed like a little piece of me. As weird as that sounds, that's how I feel about that.
That's exactly the way to describe it, bro.
Yeah.
There's like we were talking about this earlier. Is this like really interesting relationship between the person that takes in your art and then like the artist, right?
Right.
And that relationship, but it's so important. Because those little moments, and I still screenshot like different texts that people have sent me about a project or a song, just as this constant reminder that there are people out there that really, really not only are listening but vibe with you and want to see you succeed. Mm-hmm. And especially as we get into our own heads, it's so important to be in that community that like people just love on you, bro. Like that's been my experience at Philly. Is like that's why I call Philly home, because it's just like the people around here have done nothing but love me.
Right.
And when you combine that with art, it's like that the reason was to express myself. But what came out of that was like this thing I didn't know was gonna happen, was that people were gonna love me because I was expressing myself. And that's like that hidden gift that you get. Yeah. That is like, oh snap, wait, I can do what I love and also have people gassing me up about it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I can get a confidence boost from like putting out a song, and I was like, everyone should do this.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. You almost feel bad for people who haven't figured out that equation. Yeah. Because like it must be an emptiness, when it comes to their operation, their interaction with people. Did you expect that when you decided to come to school here? Were you like, yo, this is a place where like, people are gonna like, I don't know, vibe with me. Like, did you expect that? Like, I'm trying to take you back to like when we're talking 9th grade Josh. How'd you feel coming here, man?
Oh my gosh, this is so dope. Okay, so this reminds me, I wrote a rap about coming to Philly.
Oh, really?
And how I was gonna be the bull in the city.
Well, first I'll tell people where you came from first.
Oh, yo, all right. I came from some place that you'll never know. It's like a dot on the map, but Sunbury, Pennsylvania. Right. So small town, central PA.
Right.
Didn't really feel like I had a home there. Had an interesting, relationship with the area in general coming up, and then it was like completely contrast, like this city, right?
Right.
And I had a really small comfort zone. I didn't know that, and then I got to Philly.
What do you mean by that?
Just I think that my comfort zone was a replication of the small town that I was confined in.
Okay.
And my parents, I think, raised me there because they wanted the privilege of safety. I feel like
right.
Them raising me and like not locking their doors and doing like just have us chilling outside on the sidewalk, or we can run to the playground, just be doing whatever we do. But that I think that coming up, I'm like that's not really what I want for my child. I want to be, it would be a different vibe raising a child in the city, but the community has got to be there.
Right.
And so yeah, that's my idea. That I came with like a very small reference of life coming to Philly, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna take the city over. I'm gonna be the rap bull.
No, were you really thinking that?
Well, when I wrote this one rap, it was like I heard this beat was like booming, and I was like something about the city and being the one, because my brother told me to go to the city because he's the one who told me to go to check out Temple, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's cool to get back into my idea of what Temple was gonna look like, right? Yeah. Or like what my idea was. I had a really confident idea that I was going to get involved with people with music from the jump.
Right.
But I didn't, because I was still chasing the cool. And for me, I thought that like, rapping was gonna be chasing that cool, but really I just was like really got lost in the party scene my freshman year.
Which most people do.
Yeah, most people do, but it was like, I guess I had to go through it, but it was it's painful to think about, like, my idea for expression was just getting drunk and doing a freestyle instead of like putting in work where I could have gotten a different project out. But you know, it's the journey, and I think that the pain from that was what came out in Priceless Life, because like that was my first semester, bro. And then I went home for Thanksgiving break, and that's when my father passed. Was that Thanksgiving break, and that completely flipped my life around. Where I was like, I'm not partying, bro. I need to figure out what life means to me. And so it was like that journey. I think you have to have like. I think you have to have a lot of like different, I guess like a seesaw of life or different pain in your life, to go through that journey of growth.
Of course.
Yeah, because growth, I think we glamorize so often. Yeah. And I wrote a lyric on that. But growth, we're just like, yeah, I'm gonna grow, bro. I'm gonna be out this summer. I'm gonna be working on this, but you don't realize how painful it is. And that journey hurts.
What's the lyric you wrote? Was that on Priceless Life?
No, I wrote it for this other song. It was like,
if it's coming up, you don't gotta tell me. But
no, I'll definitely it's in my head a little bit. I think it's like glamorizing growth on tippy toes and tickle pink. The way I dream, envisioning some certain things. My eyes don't blink. And I'll be on the piano. It's like doing this little walk down.
That's sick.
I acquired peace at the peak. Acquired sweet. My papa, he inspired me. I clocked the quick. I power to his life is so sweet. It's kind of like a
shoot, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a really dope piano song.
Nice.
That's if you remember Cold Stairs by Chance the Rapper with No Such Thing.
I think I know that one.
Yeah, that song where he's like, bed I rest in. That song was really inspired me, and there was this like really low key single version that he dropped.
Okay.
That I haven't been able to find yet.
It's like an alternate version.
Yeah. Okay. It was like the leaked version, and he didn't like it, but I like that version more.
Better.
I haven't been able to find it, bro. I've been on Reddit trying to find it, and I can't. But I kind of like recreated that in a little way, like did my own song, but then did a little bit of his hook to like kind of pay tribute and homage.
That's cool. Yeah. But you're totally right, man. A lot of people glamorize growth when really it's the hardship that forces us to grow. Like there's a quote from Dragon Ball Z where Gohan asks Goku, Goku says, power comes from a need, not a desire. You have to create that need. And Gohan's like, how? And he's like, use the pain of loss. And it's when they're trained to beat Cell, actually.
Yeah, but they're in the chamber.
Yeah, the hyperbolic time chamber. Yeah. And it's true. That's like, it's anime, but obviously like that quote is very applicable to real life, where it's just like there's an obstacle that comes that you didn't ask for. And the crazy thing about it is that the timing is inconvenient. Like, it would be one thing if, like, you knew when difficult times are going to come. Like, if there was a warning that popped up, they'd be like, yo, this next week is going to be crazy. Like, you don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So opposition comes, from my experience, when least expected. And then you are forced to accommodate that opposition. And that's what that causes you to grow strong. And there's a quote that that's often said that's, show me a great man as the son of a great man. Meaning, show me somebody who is great that came from somewhere that was just easy street. Yeah. Show me a great man who's the son of a great man. There's a lot of people, dude, that just like they've had a difficult road, and it can be one of two ways, man. You blame everybody else, or you take initiative and you use that pain and you turn it into something. And that's been replicated in so many people that we listen to, success stories, blah, blah, blah. Sylvester Stallone's a good example. I mean, the classic story about how he wrote Rocky and like, he had to like sell his dog and stuff like that. Like, he was just like broke, and he wrote like the premise to a boxing movie, which is now like one of the biggest films in American history. There's all that kind of stuff, man. So I feel like a lot of people, and it brings us full circle to being honest in your art. A lot of people try and like push that stuff out of their life, and it's not really a big deal of mine. It's not really bothering me. And a lot of people just attack it head on. Like, look, man, this is an issue I'm having, and I'm hurting. I'm hurting real bad. Like, and if you can relate, cool. If you can't, it's whatever. And that's what's so cool about coming out of that and making something. Like you said, when that happened, like it changed your perspective. And that perspective now lives on in you. You know what I'm saying? You said like you're more balanced now. Like you understand where you stand with it. I feel like, from my perspective, from what I'm hearing, I don't know, but it feels like you've made peace, with yourself. Yeah. And that's super important. Exactly. But like, there's a lot of things in life that happen like that, and it either makes or breaks you. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, bro. I completely agree.
Yeah, we're getting to a deep place, but it's all good. And these podcasts, man, we go everywhere. So
yeah, that's what you want to do, man. That's organic,
right? And that's just so cool about you, and that's why you're an inspiration to people, man, including myself. But man, I'm honestly, I was excited about this episode today, and I was talking about it. I was excited because I'm excited to see what you do next. So from like people watching this and then seeing what you do next, there's gonna be a connection, you know, and that's what I'm most excited about. Cause shoot, man, you have you have time and a lot of potential. A lot, bro. More than other people. So just understand that. That's not coming from a place of like you're on the podcast, so I have to say that. I say it when I listen to your stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
You come from a creative direction that is unique enough to be really, really cool. You know?
That's so dope.
It's the cool in its own way. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, and I picked that up when you say it. But thank you, bro. Thank you for being someone that said that even when I didn't have a project out, you know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing to say it now, but you was saying that when you showed me that song, and I was like, bro, I got a song for you. And that song was, a little something, but I think that you've been someone that has been able to seek out potential in people and make sure that they believe it in themselves. And that's like a gift that you've given to me that is going to be perpetual, bro. And like that just has been a seed of growth. So thank you for that, because when I talk about like the community of love that I am in, you are the example of that. Like you're the prime example of one of those people.
I appreciate it. You humble me, man. But honestly, that's what this is all about. Like Jay's, now he's not only the assistant on my podcast, but this guy's a photographer. Like, and we keep each other in check. That's what's cool about having like kind of like a creative brotherhood or bond. Is like Jay's like, yo, we need to get guests for the podcast. Like, are we recording? There's not one Sunday where this guy doesn't text me and go, are we recording today? And I love him for it, yo. I love him for it. And that's, that's what keeps him in check too. Like he's always doing his photography because I'm doing my stuff, man.
Oh, true.
And it's what we were talking about. You need to find a community where people are constantly doing that. Because when you're not around people like that, man, you slowly devalue being creative. You're like, it's not that important that I do this right now or that I do this today. And that's super, super important, man. So it's cool that I'm hearing about your linking up with people. Like I know that Niles Bronze is just you, but there's always going to be people in the background helping you out with stuff, man. You can never really do everything by yourself. No, bro, it's hard to do that.
And that's like what Niles Bronze is. Like, that's what I was saying is like this is community. Like this next project is a collaboration project.
Right.
That's really what it is. And I want to make sure that the people who are helping me, like, they're going to be seen for that.
Right.
Like Gianni's my bass player and electric guitar player. Catherine and J. Marie are vocalists that are going to be on it doing mad hooks. We already got a song.
You should bring them on here next time after you've done your thing. Y'all should all come. I'm being dead serious.
Oh yeah, that'd be so dope.
I'll just get more mics, honestly, but
yeah. So it's like them, and then I'm allowing myself to do much more, like have freedom with like the other verses, because I think so much of Priceless Life is like this, all the verses have to be very perfect and have to go together, and that's why I didn't like really want to do any features or stuff like that. But this next one is like, nah, it's like this is the community. This is us. So
it's important. No disrespect to college, but I feel like the most important thing I've gotten out of college was just being collaborative with other people.
Yeah.
Like all classes aside, man, I'm not trying to be like disrespectful to college again, but like that's like the one thing I really did learn is that there's other people that love the same thing you love, and you need to find them, man. You need to find them. It's tough. You need to find them. Like Litmus Comics, the comic book stuff I do. I found that dude because we were working together on a Temple TV show, and I said out of the blue, completely out of context, like, yeah, I draw comics and stuff. And this kid next to me was like, cool. And this dude behind me was like, you draw comics? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I draw comics too. And he became one of my best friends in college, and we started Litmus Comics. Like, it was all because I said that, And nobody, like, you'd never want to be egotistical and go around and be like, I'm a rapper. Like, I can't stand when people do that. Like, yeah, I'm a rapper. Like, you are? All right, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, slow your roll, bro. Like, but like, it's important that you're forward about what you do in like a humble way, so that other people that do the same thing have the chance to present themselves to you. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And that's what's so cool about college, man, and especially Temple, man. Temple's filled with super different people. Jay goes to Temple too.
Oh, bet.
Yeah, it's just if there is one thing I miss, I'm not really a school person, so I don't miss it much, but it was just being around other people that were doing dope stuff.
Yeah, bro. I heard that.
That's that.
And that's what I'm saying. Like the people that I've been able to meet, there's so many different critiques I have of the institution of Temple, right?
Right.
And we talk about that, but there's something to be said about the relationships that I had because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing, like you said, like no shade. I have to be thankful. I have to shoot that out, to shoot that out, because I've gotten so much out of the relationships that I'll have forever now.
Right.
And I wouldn't be me. I became Joshua Chaney like probably junior year, bro. Like probably second semester junior year is when I became Joshua Chaney.
Is that when I met you?
It was around at that time.
Okay.
Which kind of says something, you know what I'm saying? But
nah, man, don't attribute that to me, man. What were you saying though?
But that's what that wouldn't have happened had I not been around the people that I was.
Right.
Or I had met like all the different, like you said, the people that were doing dope stuff that inspired me when they were doing their stuff, and then also was like validating my work when I did a little bit or showed them what I was trying to do. So
it goes a long way.
Yo.
You know, it goes a long way. There's a philosophy that says that others are simply a reflection of ourselves. And, you know, it just depends on which reflections you hang out with.
Yeah.
There's negative reflections and positive reflections.
Yeah, definitely, bro. And I think like that's why I always want to be gassing people up, because you never know what it is. I don't even say like, but it's just showing love for people,
right?
Because you never know what compliment is going to make them like be that one that is like puts them to the place where they're gonna make that next dope project.
Yeah, that's just awesome.
Yeah, and of course, like y'all, like you say, you keep each other in check,
right?
And I do that as well with people I'm super close with, but I just need to be sharing love with as many people as possible, because we have to be a community that does that. That's how we grow, bro. I just can't speak to how much I've gotten out of it. And knowing how much I have, I can't let that opportunity pass.
Right.
When it's someone that's looking fly, bro. Like looking fly. And I'm just like, yo, you gotta say something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can't let them be fly and not hear anything about it. Like, they popping out. You gotta, give love so that they can continue and know that someone's watching, like we said earlier, that someone's taking in their art.
And we need more people to be like you, man, which is, positive expression doesn't cost much, but people don't really take the effort to do it. And I think that a lot of you being like that is from your environment. Like you said, you came from like a small town, I feel like people in the city, they're so jaded in their social interactions because they are constantly around so many people. So they take it for granted. You know what I'm saying? But you came from a place where there's few people. So it's very important to be nice to the few people that are around you, because you could easily build a reputation in a small town. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not just for yourself, but it's for the betterment of others, man. So it's cool that you realize that. I wish more people would.
That's a good point.
And,
that's interesting.
Yeah. Even when what this person makes isn't great, there's a way to be honest and also be supportive at the same time. Yeah. You never shoot down, man. You never crush.
Yeah.
And because you never know. But then again, man, a lot of stars have been born because people said their stuff wasn't good. So it's a dual-sided thing, man. But some people aren't as rebellious. Some people take that and they fold. But like you said, love is the answer. It's always good to be loved. And I feel like Priceless Life is all about that. I've said Priceless Life a million times in this podcast.
That's the key word.
But Priceless Life is all about love, man. That might be its true thesis if I say so. But that's the thesis of like almost everything you do, which is what makes your journey so cool and why I like looking at your pictures and music and stuff like that, man.
Yeah, bro. I'm excited just about like how love takes a lot of different shapes and forms.
Right.
And how that love is growing. How we express love is growing, especially in our like as we as a generation have so many different outlets now to express our art and our love. It's really cool to see how it's going to grow and like how it's going to transform. At the root it's the same, like you said, but I think that we're experiencing, I think, like the beginning of said paradigm shift.
Really?
Where it's like you were saying
in
earlier,
America or globally?
Definitely everything is getting more global now
because of the interconnection.
The connection port. So I think that we're definitely hitting, I mean, all social political aside, because the shift has already happened politically,
of course
we see that, but I think the paradigm shift comes from what you were saying earlier, is like this is a great time to be a rapper because it's DIY, bro. Like this is put your stuff on Instagram, social media, SoundCloud, and then just let it fly, like let it be. And so many people are doing that and becoming stars or becoming well known, and it's people that a lot of old heads will say don't deserve it,
Right.
or that they're not polished. But this is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like Yachty, Uzi,
Of course, man.
Ugly Guy, like the bulls that put out.
Yo, what's up with him and the Lizards, man?
I don't know.
I don't know much about Ugly Guy. I saw a note say put lizards on his nose. You know him? You always help with everybody, man. But no. Man. But I know what you're saying, man. And the reason why those people are hating is because, you know, they came up in a different time where they had to pay their dues.
Yeah.
And now that middleman's been cut out. So the intelligent older artists are being like, this is just times have changed.
Yeah.
It's not that this person's spoiled. It's just that they exist in a different time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then you got the old heads saying like, yeah, you see it? Right. But then you got the old head saying like, man, like I didn't have that luxury and these guys do, they don't deserve it. But it's not about like who deserves what. I look at the internet like this, man. It's like American Idol. There's all these contestants that are contesting for something, and the internet is like a huge American Idol. It's like, you think you got what it takes, then go ahead and put it out there and see how many people love it, man. And you got Patreon, you can fund your stuff now. So it really is the best time, man. It is the best time. That's another reason to be grateful, man. That's another reason why life is priceless. It's because we exist in that time where the internet's a medium. I can't imagine what it was like coming up without that kind of stuff. Dude, I can't imagine going through college without the internet. Imagine going to the library to look stuff up, and imagine waiting in line to like check into classes, to get your classes, bro. Yeah. You do that online nowadays. Yeah. You just do that right through the computer.
honestly, I think it's good to have both minds, like to know how important this generation is, and to also know how important other generations were, and how much they had been through.
Right.
To know like what we're like cashing in on.
Yeah. So true.
Because I'm
man.
like, bro, it's like hard to even be bored nowadays. Like you can't be bored.
It is, man. It's hard to be bored. Show wise, it's hard to be bored music wise. That's where you're getting at, right?
Yeah, like just like, bro, you could be on Instagram all day if you wanted to.
You really could.
Like you could be watching taking in media all day. Like so it's like I remember like being a kid and being bored, like oh shoot, like or where I'm like I don't know if it would be class or like I don't know, waiting somewhere. Like,
you seem like you were a really outdoorsy kind of kid.
Yeah,
you're probably that dude.
It was half and half. Like I would be out on the playground for most of the day.
Okay.
And then I would come back and just play video games.
Right.
And if my family would be like renting video games, so like if I had 2 days of the video
from
game,
Blockbusters.
Yeah. We had West Coast Video on the East Coast for some reason. I don't know what that's all about.
West Coast Video.
And we had 2020 Video. It was like very very sketch, but it was like a little corner store, video game store. But,
yeah.
But yeah, if I ran a video game, bro, I'd be in for all 3 of those days, like sucking in the art, bro.
Right.
And that takes me to another point. I feel like video games are one of the greatest pieces of art.
Right.
Like, I feel like because you're immersed in it, like you are, especially if we're talking like first person, like you are a part of the art. You are the art.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like BioShock, bro. Like BioShock is one of the best. I think BioShock and Kingdom Hearts are 2 of like the best pieces of art, bro.
You're speaking my language, man.
Yeah.
I literally have every Kingdom Hearts game, and I have the Japanese versions, the ones that are only available in Japan too.
The final mixes.
Yeah, I have all the final mixes before they re-released them here.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, BioShock Infinite, it's probably one of the best first-person shooters ever. I'm talking about the one where they're in the sky.
Yeah.
That one's dope, man.
Yeah, I was a huge BioShock 1 fan.
Yeah.
And it was like BioShock Infinite came out when there was something going on PS3, so I completely missed it, bro.
Oh, it was broken? You got the yellow light?
Yeah, I got the yellow light. Yeah, and I was like, bro, I'm not gonna get another one. So I missed the Infinite. So I don't even know really how Infinite is.
Oh.
And I know it's kind of like tight about it because I was like, yo, BioShock is water, it's underground. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an underwater city.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool. I mean, that's like also what they're doing is the reflexivity of their projects.
Yeah.
It's literally that like underwater to above ground.
Yeah. I didn't know you were a gamer like that, man.
Yeah, bro. I was a heavy gamer. I haven't been into it as much, but I've been actually revisiting Red Dead Redemption.
Good.
Yeah.
Sequel's coming soon. Great game, bro.
Yo, I might have to cop a PS4 for just
Great
that,
game.
bro.
If you just think about Rockstar Games' perspective, they're just like, yo, let's make a Grand Theft Auto, but you're a cowboy.
Yeah.
Like, perfect idea. Perfect, yo. Millions. I'm just throwing money at you right now. It's a great idea. Yeah, dude, I've played that game forever. Funny story about that game. We had a coin jar in this house where it's just like family deposited coins, wherever. Me and my brother took that, walked to the bank, put that whole thing in there, got the cash from that, and that's how we bought Red Dead Redemption. We were so young. That game is live though, man.
Honestly,
I love video games,
beautiful
man.
art, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful art. That world that you're just immersed in.
Right.
I started to gain a lot of love for just the West, and I went out to the West. I drove to New Mexico. Started in Albuquerque and then drove to Kentucky.
On what occasion, if you don't mind me asking?
It was for an internship with a missions organization.
Sweet.
Yeah, that was 2 summers ago.
Nice.
So it was really random that they needed me to pick up a van in Albuquerque and then drive it. But it was
Were you by yourself?
No, I went on a road trip with another homie that was doing an internship.
Oh, okay.
And so we were just cruising, bro. We were just just doing life and seeing all the sights out there. And it's really cool that the video game introduced me to that, because we were driving on, I forget what highway or what route it would have been, but we were driving through Texas, bro. And I remember looking out to the side. I'm like, yo, bro, I'm in the game, which is so lame when you think about it.
Well, was that your first time leaving state?
No, I've been to Alabama.
Oh, okay.
But it was my first time. Like, I had been to Cali too, but it was my first time in that area of the West.
Okay.
And it was just so dope for me.
Nice.
Like, it was such a great experience, and I really, that's you know what, like, that was when was that? That was the summer after sophomore year coming into junior year.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was during that road trip that I was like, yo, the possibilities, like, as for me, being very privileged and blessed in this world, I was like, if I set my mind to something, I can do it.
Right.
And it was kind of like battling that small comfort zone, because I was like, bro, we just went on like a 2,000-mile road trip,
right?
And we crushed that, John. Like, we was eating like all the food, like we was immersing ourselves in culture, like we did it.
It's like, yo, mission accomplished,
yeah,
man.
I was like, bro, it's possible. We was chilling in motels, bro. This motels was like $50 a night, bro. We was chilling. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can do it. I
love that, yo. That's so great.
So that was like opened the door for me. It's like, yo, we like our the being as like, you know, college, you know, graduates and stuff, and
right,
being very like blessed and privileged to do what we can in this world. I think we need to really keep our minds open to making these next things happen.
Right.
And that's always been, so we were talking about fame earlier. And low-key, I want to be famous. Like,
yeah,
I'm saying I'm going to be famous to myself when I'm in the shower, or I'm thinking about what my interviews are going to look like when I'm on, like, Breakfast Club or something, right? But only because I want to do what, like, artists like Chance are doing. When you take that fame and use it as power in this society in a positive way. Yeah, in a positive way, to make sure that other people are getting that opportunity.
I don't think you misconstrued what I said, but just to reiterate, like, what I'm saying, it's bad if that's the sole reason.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
No,
but that's not you.
Exactly what you're saying.
That's not you.
And yeah, that's the goal. Like, for me, at the back of my head, it's always creating right in the forefront. Right. But at the back of my head, it's like, when you get to that stage, you have to use it.
Exactly.
Like, and that's what I've always thought of, is like this opportunity. It's like one thing to be privileged in this world, but to be non-cognizant of it is the greatest disservice. Right. When you're like, when you're not living to your potential, because I think that if we think about this world and like our lives in large scale, like how is it that you and I connected in this? Like,
True.
Like, how is it that we were placed in the same time, in space, at the same place to go to the same college? You know what I'm saying? Like, things line up, and we are ourselves for a reason. Right. We are in this field of work for a reason, and it's just like making sure that we're cognizant of that, because you know, it's homies like you were talking about that just don't know. Yeah.
Well, that's where violence comes from, and that's where crime comes from. It's ignorance, you know? I forget who said it, Plato or Socrates, but he said the life unexamined is not worth living. So, you know, you have to be cognizant of I hate using the word conscious, but you do have to be that way about the scenario that you're in and how it came, and be appreciative of that, man. And that's why, like, I don't know, like you said with the road trip stuff, that's what I'm all about. Like, what I'm living is adventure, man. I like to have adventures. I like to. And now that I'm older and I got a job, not as many adventures, but I always value those times when I get something done or I visit a place. And that in itself is an accomplishment. Like, you went to Texas and you were just like, yo, we made it. Yeah, we pick up. I'm telling you, it's a cool feeling, man. Have you left the country yet at all?
Nah, bro. I ain't been out the country.
I can't wait to see what you make once you get out somewhere, man.
Yeah, that's the move, man. That's the move. Once I make a pretty little amount of money, that's the move.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been hard. And I think that it's also a growing process. Like, I feel very young.
You should.
Both like biologically, but like lived experience, I feel very young. Coming up in like a small town, and I know that there's so much life to live.
Yeah. We good on that?
I get a lot of like out of that traveling aspect. So like you said, I'm so excited as well to like just be immersed in a new culture. It's hard, like, especially now when I'm like, I need to be in Philly working with the people with music, and I want to get that out, but it will come.
Right.
It definitely is in line with this journey. In the future, I'll be a lot of different places, I know.
Yeah.
So
performing, hopefully.
Yeah.
How dope would that be, man?
Yeah,
Sheesh.
That would be incredible, bro. When you perform one night and then you like learned about the culture the next day.
And then that's a whole bunch of other bridges you're gonna cross. Merchandise. We have the Niles Bronze T-shirts. I'm serious. The posters. You think I'm kidding? You gotta think about all that stuff too.
Oh, I have been. Yeah, I have been. Especially with all the logo, like art and logos I've been creating.
Nice.
And like this project is like a full. This is we're gonna do it right. Which is the cool thing. That's like what the concept was about, was almost like a. I don't want to say like proving ground, because when you put it like that, it's
like you have something to prove.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it
totally
was more. It was this something. It was like this. It was like the thesis.
Right.
The thesis of what's to come.
Right.
And once you have that, bro, the possibilities are endless, because people just pick up on it. They're like,
right.
You have a context of what you're talking to someone about.
Exactly.
Which is so important, because it's so often when I was making Priceless Life and I was like, yo, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I just didn't have anyone to, like, I didn't have any roots set. And so Priceless Life is the roots.
Right.
And now it's just thinking about, so many people have vibed with the journey and process that has been very messy at the beginning.
Right.
Of me coming to realize who I wanted to be, who I was, and what I could do in the moment of like a couple of weeks. And I was like, I got to do it right now, pretty much. And that's how it happened. It was like, I just made an Instagram account and then started following hella people.
I was there for that journey.
Yeah,
for a little
like
bit.
Wild stuff. And it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people have been with me since then, and now it's so much more polished that people are like, oh snap, wait, I actually vibe with this.
You're not just some kid who's saying, I want to do this, I want to do that. Now you're somebody with credibility. That's what you're saying, man. It's important.
Oh, and it's such a cool feeling, and because I've always wanted to collaborate, and now it's like we're able to do so.
Yeah.
So it's the dopeness, bro.
Man, I don't know, just it's weird because like talking to you right now just makes me just want to run out and go do stuff.
I'm saying, bro. Like, I want to find an organ somewhere. Now you said gospel at one time. Like, I just want to find an organ.
Listen, most people who go on to make music or get really involved in music, it starts in the church, because music is a pivotal part of the church service. It leads the whole entire thing.
Yeah.
But there is something about that genre of music that is really, really impression. I don't know what it is. It just leaves an impression on you. I listen to the Black Gospel Station all the time. It used to be 103.9. They changed it now. The Philadelphia one. I wanted to work for it at one point in time because it was so cool. My boy Pete, he might listen to this. Whenever I went over his house, man, he would play that to put him to sleep.
Oh,
this dude couldn't sleep unless he had it on, so he would put the Black Gospel Station on. Like, I used to sleep over his house so many times when I was younger. Like, I used to like that. Like, I used to put it on. There's something soothing about it, man.
That's dope. You know what? I'm gonna go and start listening to gospel, bro. Now that we did this, like, this was meant to happen, because I don't listen to, like, that's the thing. I came up really strictly because I think hip hop spoke so much to me that I was just like, I'm gonna just explore hip hop, and that's really what I did. Was just like, I listen to Kid Cudi all the time, listen to Andre 3000 all the time, or I just Outkast in general all the time, and they were like my escape, like they were my outlet. And so I love them so much, especially when you're younger.
Right.
You just have like you don't explore music that much. You like an artist speaks to you and then you just like you love them unconditionally.
You stick to them.
Yeah.
Kid Cudi's one of those, man, because he's like he kind of speaks to those little emo aspects that people have, like yo, I'm sitting in my room, like kind of stuff. You know, I love that kind of
because those sad songs, bro.
Right, but like. But he's just, you know, he's awesome, man. That's all I got to say. He's really cool. But I get that. When I was a kid, I was like that, too. There was just a select amount of stuff I used to listen to. And, like, I just listen to those songs all the time, and I memorize them. You know? I'm the same way.
That's the thing, bro. And it's like those sad songs, like, I'll never forget hearing Kendrick Lamar's Buried Alive interlude, bro.
Right.
That beat and, like, him saying, I always remember that. He's talking about his best friend. And he's like, and I love her more. I love her, and she loves me more than life. But I need to let her go.
Yeah,
the feeling that I had. You know, he's going in like that and like saying those really, really sad lines. It's like just sticks with you, and I just repeat them over and over. And also, I was the biggest Drake Take Care fan.
Yeah,
like this, like that.
You
era,
like Take Care?
Yeah, like just like all that like you said, the rawness and the emotion in that was like I love that. I love sad music for some reason.
Sad music is good. I don't know, man. There's just so much of it, though. I mean, like, what'd you think of Damn, honestly? And you can weigh on this, too, if you want.
Bro.
Kendrick's new album?
Yeah.
It was good.
I'm so inspired, bro. I'm so inspired. It was funny because I was one of
I feel like it's difficult not to inspire you, though.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I'm kind of like a sponge at this point. But, I was inspired by the way that he kind of like took the complexity, the surface level complexity out of his projects,
right,
and let this kind of stand still as a concept, but was much more like, I want this to be what people pick up from it,
right,
less than this is a poetic, like, complete, this is what it means, kind of like how To Pimp a Butterfly was. There's poetry laced and there's this message. It's so in your face in a way, but in your face in a lot of different like venues and surfaces. But like Damn was almost like his mainstream. Like, yo, bro, I'ma do. Like when I heard DNA, bro, like it comes right out of blood, right? And I was like, oh snap, he's about to do an entire album of trap. Like when that beat switched, bro, I was like, oh, I could not sit still. And then I was in there, and then he goes, yeah, right after. And I'm like, oh, snap. It's like a journey. I do appreciate him being a little more lax with, like, his art. I do, like, to me, I mean, like we said earlier, I don't want to compare artists and their like, their work. But, like, To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn are two different like storytelling lenses.
Totally. And it's weird because I feel like Damn is like very raw. Like there's not really a lot of like padding to it. It's like for me nowhere near poppy or anything like that. Like it's just what it is. And it's so interesting to see that genre is becoming popular now. Like I never thought that so many people would like it. Not to say that it's bad. Don't get that, because I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
But I just didn't think that like there'd be such a wide acceptance for that type of music, man. What do you think is like the main appeal? Like with hip hop nowadays, like with people that listen to, I feel like that's like the thing, you know?
Yeah. Yo, I could go in because it's such a hard question to answer because there's so much that goes into it.
Of course, yeah.
Like blackness and black culture and how, I mean, music has been pushed by black innovators and black curators, right?
Right.
Like from the jump, even rock music, where, you know what I'm saying? Like Chuck Berry just died. You know, the Bull was like studied by Elvis Presley, and Elvis was sitting in the churches and taking notes. They were saying, you know, so I think that it's just this point where blackness is at its like most raw form, raw point, and that's hard not to like you can't not like the black soul just wants to create,
right,
and wants to be, and hip hop is this really, really intricate combination of like African creation and traditions.
Well, it definitely has roots in that.
Yeah, paired with like this society that has been put in place to hold black people back.
Right.
And when you combine those two together, you have this odd fusion of like resistance, love, raw emotion,
Yeah.
and it shoots out into something that's super dope,
Right.
with a beat that makes you feel like you can do anything. And so it's like when you explain it like that,
When you talk about, I feel like you talk about hip hop like you're like a commercial narrator for like a Toy Story movie that's coming out.
oh
man.
snap, yeah.
What were we saying, man? When you
But
hear that,
when you
what?
explain it like
Yeah.
that, it's like, oh yeah, how would people not like that?
Yeah.
And like thinking about, especially like the main audience of rap is like pretty much like white males, young white males.
No, definitely. I mean, whenever I go to a ton of hip hop shows, a
Yeah.
bunch, and it's just
It's
white
so
people.
white, yeah.
We talked about this before in another episode, man. Like, I went to Run the Jewels, and I was just like, there's gonna be like a whole bunch of people here. Yo, I'm telling you, man, it's just all white people. I was like
Yeah.
sitting next to the only 2 black people, man.
I know, right?
But, yeah, I don't know what that is.
I think that, yeah, I don't know, bro. I think, so, like, we got to talk about, like, this, just like I said earlier, like, the society of, how intrinsically this society is holding a lot of people of color back, like, economically, and how artists now in the day of age of, like, music, how they're not getting, like, a lot of money from their record sales and have to hike up prices for their, concerts and stuff. So this is a huge generalization. I'm not saying like people of color don't have the money to go to concerts,
Right.
but at the end of the day, a lot, and I notice this from people I talk to a lot, is like white males have the freedom economically to be like, I'm gonna support this artist, to buy the merch, and also go to the concert, right? Whereas a lot of people that a lot of people I color, like, as me as well, I was like, I don't go to many concerts. I'm the boy that's at home watching them on YouTube. You know what I'm saying?
Because you want to, or because you don't feel like paying money for it?
I just don't. Yeah, like I don't really have the money.
Right.
Like I don't have the money to it's like sadly like to go to and support an artist. But I'm this person that's like, have you heard this artist? Have you heard this artist? Finding the young artists and then trying to like support them that way.
Right.
Because at this point, like I don't have a lot of like the currency to be out and doing that.
I feel you.
But and it's no shade either too, because that's what you want to do, is like if you have the money, you want to support the artist, and that's what they're doing.
Listen, man, hip hop is a huge reason for a bunch of young black millionaires.
Yeah.
I'm being real. Like anybody from the outside looking in can tell you that, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and that's the cool part, is like that's what I'm saying, is like the draw to hip hop is this idea of black curators finding their way in a society that was holding them back. Like if we talk about New York, right, and when hip hop was emerging, like bro, you're using other people's like classically trained musicians' instruments,
right,
and rapping over that crap and like making something novel,
right,
based on what you had. Like you didn't have a lot. You didn't have music school,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but artists are still coming up and doing.
Making that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like the cool
while
thing.
people are saying they're not real magicians. I mean, musicians. Some are magicians, man. Some rappers are magical, right? But no, they're not. You have people saying that because it's just like you don't have any classical training or anything like that. To me, like I feel like the reason why young people really rally around hip hop and why it's like the national anthem for like American youth is because it's so counterculture. You know, it's because it's so provocative in its imagery and its lyricism. You know, I feel like that's part of what it is. They had Danny Brown on the Church of What's Happening Now podcast, and he said like, yo, this is my I'm not necessarily agree with this, but he said, yo, this is my definition of hip hop. And you know how he is, he's kind of like a crazy guy. He was like, hip hop is just something you can't play in front of your parents. He was just like, that's how it has to be. And like I didn't know what he was talking about first, but I kind of realized what he is saying, where it's just like it's messages that you wouldn't expect to hear, you know. And that's, I feel like it's another perspective. And so I feel like I totally get and agree with the point that you're saying, man, which is a lot of it is just, you know, this blackness at its peak. Yeah. But a lot of it is just like the the showing of different opinions and different stories. Because now it's not just all black rappers. We got a lot of rappers in this game, you know what I'm saying? Just people that you look at and they don't fit the definition physically. Like Lil Dicky is the prime example. If you look at him in the XXL freshman shot that they have, he purposely looks like a goof. Like that's how he wants to look. And, you know what I'm saying?
That's another interesting thing about white rappers,
right?
Is this like, so like them hopping on a beat, right? Like the mainstream white rappers,
right?
Is this almost comical feel about it,
right?
Like Post Malone ain't really a rapper, but he still kind of is, because he has like, you know, his production is very rap. And we got to talk about rap. If we call Drake a rapper, then Post Malone, I think, would be by default somewhere around there as
Drake
well.
is definitely a rapper.
Yeah.
Whether or not he really does, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
He definitely was, you know. So.
But Post Malone has this kind of like humoristic value.
Right.
And it's interesting to think about, because it's like white rappers can't take themselves too seriously.
Right.
Which is the interesting part about like their like career in the culture.
That's interesting. I never really thought about it that way, because yeah, I mean, if you think about Eminem, there's a lot of songs where he has a serious message, but then there's songs where he's just crazy, ballistic,
exactly,
just absolutely nuts, and you love it though. You love to watch that. I'm trying to think of other examples, but yeah, that's a good example, man.
I wish I had brought that to the table and had like some like argument around it, but it's just something that I've been thinking about. Is a lot of, for some reason or another, a lot of like mainstream rap art, white rap artists, like even Mac Miller has done some really dark stuff, but also has this feeling about him that is not really too over like serious, and it's almost like this idea that like, and I'm like, is that helpful or is that hurting the culture? Because it's this idea, at least sometimes I've thought about it, is like, this is not that hard,
right?
Or like, this is something that I don't take too seriously, because anyone can do it.
Well, my thing with that is, I feel like hip hop is a very open-ended question when it comes to what you're trying to portray in a song and what you're trying to write. You don't have to give a serious message. You know, you got. I'm gonna say, if you want me to pick a black rapper, I'll pick Will Smith. I'll pick Fresh Prince.
Okay.
From really early. I'm talking like old school Fresh Prince, man. This is a guy who's coming on the scene and making literally stories, kind of like Slick Rick did, about his car getting robbed, or he gets caught in like some girl's house and the boyfriend comes back, he has to jump out the window.
Yeah.
All songs that get converted into episodes of the TV show, by the way. And that's what he wants to say. And then later on, he has some more serious stuff to say, like, yo, people are really coming at my neck. Like, you better watch out, Oprah, stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, Will Smith, dude. What are you gonna do? But like, I feel like it's what you want to do. Like for me, for my example, I started rapping seriously when I was in middle school. I got better in high school, and then probably senior year was when I started like really like getting good. In college is like I was understanding what I was writing.
Yeah.
When I first started out, man, I was making like the very first song I ever wrote was called Elements, and it was just about the elements of it sounds so dumb, dude, because it is. It's the first song I ever wrote. It's just about fire, water, and like the earth, kind of like an Avatar thing. Where I was just like, yo, like water flows, like kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was just playing around with the medium, and then I started to get my voice, where I was just like, there's a lot of things I find funny. I want to do like funny songs, but then I want to talk about how I'm feeling. So I feel like hip hop is just like this way where you can really truly express yourself, and if you do it in a skillful way, then it's dope. You know what I'm saying? Then it's awesome.
Yeah.
So what I like to look at, I see where you're coming from. What I like to look at is like, I hear what you're saying. How are you saying it? Is it a way that's making me think? Is it a way that's worth listening to?
Yeah.
Because anybody can say some silly, goofy stuff, and you know that's whatever. But like, are you doing it in a skilled way? Like, is this cool? There's a song by Mighty Underdogs. Black Alicious is one of the rappers on there. There's a whole bunch of other people. It's called Ill Vacation. And it's just, they talk about going on vacation and just a bunch of crazy stuff happens, man. They get captured by natives and stuff like that. It's just weird. It's just like this long Scooby-Doo style story. But it's spit so fast that you're like, how are they rapping this fast? So it's less about how like silly the story is and more about like, whoa, this is really skillfully executed.
That's a good point.
But again, like different people are going to view it different ways. That's what's so beautiful about it. I see where you're coming from, man.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because it's, and that goes back to like, the question you asked is so hard to answer because there's so many different aspects of hip hop.
Yeah.
And like rap is like, there's flow and there's the beat and then there's the cadence, and this is like the lyrical content, you know, it just goes on and on and on.
Right.
And so like that kind of transcends the physical makeup of the artist. Which is a good point. That's a good point to make.
That's the point. You know MF Doom, obviously.
Yeah.
They asked the dude, they were like, why do you wear a mask? Like, is it a gig? He's like, honestly, I want people to focus less on the music and more on the music and less on the artist.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about what I look like. Like, the fact that I'm black or the fact that I look like this or I'm a man, that doesn't make a difference. I want you to focus on what I'm saying. Do you peep it? Do you not peep it? Like, let me know. I remember when he said that in an interview, I was just like, that's dope. Like, that's how kind of I want to be with everything, man. Like, obviously you present yourself in your art, but it should be less about what you look like, you know? That's what I say. Because that's the thing that comes with this kind of genre of music. You notice how like everybody's trying to dress up like those trap artists now.
Yeah.
Like all the kids, man, they're trying to wear like, that's the new thing, like to wear like Metallica shirts and stuff. I'm wondering like, yo, like these kids listen to Metallica. Not there's anything wrong with that. Do your thing. But it's just like we're so obsessed with the image of what we think it is. Like the cool, exactly. Be whoever you want though.
I definitely, I fight with that in my head, because on one hand it's like, who are you trying to be? But then at the other hand, it's like, who do you feel comfortable being in that moment?
Right.
So a lot of, and that's just the journey, like young kids who look at these artists and see something at the same, it may not be them in the long grand scheme of things, but at that moment, it's who they see.
What
like
they're feeling,
when they wear that Metallica shirt, they still feel dope.
Right,
and like
right.
They connect that with that artist, and like I'm like, and maybe even the real question is, do those artists who are wearing the shirt listen to them?
Right.
Because then it's like, yo, because y'all, I mean, the reason I feel like to be a professional artist at the end of the day is to be you. Yeah. And when you get lost in that, like who you are is like the sad thing, because you had the freedom to be whoever.
Yeah.
So it's like important to know like that's still you.
Yeah.
But I think that we talk about fashion. Fashion is like really, really important.
For you, man, you're a fashionable guy. See, I'm trying to be more like you, but I just don't know what to do. I need help.
But I think like it's just like whatever. I think that it's whatever you feel is gonna express you in that moment.
Right.
And it's for me the reason I kind of had like that a little bit of kickback from what you said earlier is because I was that bull that was looking at artists and like seeing what they like, visualizing fashion with what they say.
But everybody does that.
Yeah,
man. Everybody.
And so like
does.
that's how I did it, bro. Was just looking at dope artists, and like even what Kanye West did with his fashion show was like,
Kanye West is number one.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to wear bathing apes was because of Kanye West.
Yeah, like
I was like, I want a pair of babes so bad.
Bull has been on every different wave, and it's so dope to see that. Like, because at the same time, like I'm so tired of like having to pay so much money just to wear something that is not even you. Right. But I'm just trying to be more accepting of the fact that we really judge people based on what they wear.
Of course.
Like at the end of the day, like we judge people, and it's like it speaks to who they are. Like you see someone. That song I sent to you, White, was talking about putting on your suit and tie,
right? And
how I view people who were constantly wearing their suits and stuff,
right?
And so that, like,
that's true.
It's like I gotta come to terms that as I become more in tune with myself, that also means that like what I'm wearing is kind of like a part of that. Or if I come in tune with myself and I'm like, wait, I don't give, I don't care about any of that. I don't care about this. Then then maybe that means that I'm gonna just wear like, I also see myself as I was like a super dope artist, like super famous. I would just wear the same thing forever, like a really dope outfit with like robes and rope and stuff,
right? And
sandals, and that would just be like, I'll be like a video game character.
I think about that too.
Like that'd be so dope.
Right. But I don't know. People would be like, "Oh man, are you in touch with reality?" Like, how real do you think you are right now, bro? You do know life is not a video game, right? Yeah. I get you though. I totally get where you're coming from, man.
At this point, bro, that's the mentality. That's like the image, or the I can't think of the word.
Take as much time as you need. Persona?
The when you have a
ideal. I'm putting words into your head.
No.
What you're trying to say.
It's like when you think of someone and you always expect that same thing. That's the reputation. It's like out of mind is almost my reputation at this point.
Right.
Just because of how like the stuff that I post on Instagram or the other stuff has been just like really just what's in my head at that moment.
No, but you're not out of mind. I mean, like anybody that actually knows you knows that you're actually a really pretty down to earth person. There's a difference between being like out of mind in what you're expressing and out of mind in how you treat other people. I've never seen you treat someone neglectful. You're very attentive to people, which is what makes you, so friendly as a human being.
Yeah.
But there's a difference, man, between That's why you should always get to know somebody, man. But
true.
Yeah, I think you're saying not your a reputation, but maybe someone's perception of you based off those things would be out of mind.
Yeah. That's a good way to like rephrase it. But I think that that's a cool place to be, is like transcending what is to be expected.
Yeah.
And that's where I want to be. I want to be. The images I have in my head for the next like visual projects are exactly that, like out of mind. And I want more of that. I want to be at that. I want to be in that space where when those thoughts come, there's less like kickback in my own like I guess like creative space.
Right.
Because that's the art I want to be making, bro. It's like the things that make people think. And like when I was collaborating with Kayla for the Woods music video, John, it was funny like collaborating because she was like, this doesn't make sense. Like she was like, I think that you should try and work on the story more.
Right.
And at that point I had so much stuff going on. Like that was good feedback where I was like, at the same time I want to do something that makes people question it. Mm-hmm. And that was the feedback, was like, what was the water about, yo? Like what was that water about?
What is that about?
And this is a conversation, and I think I'll finally be able to answer that question like this summer. But I want to be able to like invite those thoughts into my head more often.
Right. I don't know. It's representation is tricky. That's the thing, man. Representation is always tricky. I mean, that's basically what art is. It's a symbol that represents something. Mm-hmm. So, sheesh. I don't know, man. Yeah. What's up? You want to keep going? It's 6:00. I don't want to hold you. That's the thing.
Yeah, true.
If you want to wrap it up, we can. It'll be smoother. I'll edit this. It's not going to come to like an abrupt thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're at a pretty good spot.
All right. Cool.
It's in terms of things that I've wanted to get out.
Right.
So.
You can keep going, man. I'm telling you. I'd love to have you on. Like I said, I'm still excited.
Yeah, this is still really so
cool.
dope, bro. And I'm so thankful that you put thoughtfulness into the questions that like you ask, because they're exactly the questions that I would want someone to ask when I'm like talking about the project.
Right.
And the things, I can't wait to listen to this, because the answers and thoughts that you prompted are like, that's gold.
But that's gold that you delivered, man. See, I'm just mining, man. You are the gold mine.
Yeah, but it's a relationship that has to be both parts, and both parts are just as important.
I got you, man.
And I think about the Priceless Life as a project was this duality. Is like, I was listening to it. I didn't listen to it for the longest time because I just needed to like just digest in this process, and also I was working on different stuff.
Right, you gotta get your head in what you're doing next.
Yeah, but I came back to it. It was actually, I was on my way home to like visit family for Easter, and I realized that Priceless Life was almost like a eulogy. Like that was the reason I had to work so hard. Like I had to get it done. I had to get it out, was because it was everything I wanted to say before, or if I were to die.
Right.
And so that was the interesting part. That was like Priceless Life, but it's this eulogy where I wanted it. And that reminds me, like the quote that you said about Danny Brown, how hip hop is music that you wouldn't play with in front of your parents.
Yeah.
All of Priceless Life was something I did for my parents.
Right.
So it was this idea of like what I would want to be played at my funeral.
Right.
You start off with like the reality of who I was in the moments of like coming up, and like especially when my dad was around, like it hurts me that I was the person that was in like crawling in my cocoon and like chasing that cool.
Right.
But I had to be there in order to process different pain in my life and realize who I had to be then, or what my life really meant. Right. I had to make those mistakes and chase that cool, right? And then it's like the losing my dad part, paying tribute and homage to him. And then you get through towards the end where Notes is essentially like this letter to my mom about like not understanding this my identity, or the pain that I've had to suffice, or to the pain that I've had to experience.
I was going to ask you about that one. I just wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about it. That's honestly the reason.
Yeah, well, Notes is like this idea almost that I was being slain. Because it's talking about, I'm talking to my mom about if I was to be killed.
Right.
Like I think I was getting a lot of like police brutality vibes. It was over the summer, and that's when all like Philando and Castile, right? They so many people were slain over the summer, and it was like very like morbid vibes. And so like Notes was almost like the reality of like, yeah, it is almost like a eulogy, and the death could be coming. But then the cool thing was, Cold as August, it was like that poem Victory Lap. It was like the victory came over those dark feelings, because we had made it. Like I had been able to get it out. And then Cold as August was the song that I wrote on the beach with my mom and sister when I felt the safest I've ever been. That was the first family vacation we've ever taken.
Dope.
We've never had the money to go on a vacation. My mom finally was like at a place where she could afford it, bro. Huge for our family, and also huge for me is finally being able to take a break. And I just wrote that song and felt like, I just felt whole and like at peace.
Right. I get that sense. You weathered the storm with the Victory Lap poem.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a coming out of that.
Yeah, because at first it's the wind.
Yeah.
And it's this idea of like Mother Earth and her kickback and like her like message to me that she's gonna be fighting me throughout this entire life.
Right.
But then at the end it's like, but I'm come in tune with her, and now it's like we coexist, and like we do push up against each other, but it's only to refine. It's only to sharpen the iron and to come out. And then that victory was like Cold as August, bro. And it's funny that you put waves next to my name, because I'm a Cancer sign.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so like I'm a water, like I'm water. And that I had never really been to the beach, bro, but like I finally did the thing where you lay in the water and you let the water come on your ears, and you feel like, you watch Moonlight, right?
Moonlight. Oh, what do you mean?
The movie Moonlight?
I don't know. I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, for real?
No.
Just it won Best Picture?
Bro, it was a good movie.
All right, apparently I'm out of loop. I didn't see
either
it.
way, there's a beautiful scene where it's kind of like a coming of age story. You saw Boyhood?
Jail. I'm sorry, Josh.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Have you seen that?
I haven't seen Boyhood, but I know about Moonlight.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's like a coming of age story.
Right.
It's like but specifically like black age and like black coming of age and also questioning sexuality. But there's this beautiful scene where they're in the water, and the young boy's father figure is holding him, and he's like, "You're in the middle of the world." And to me, that spoke to me, because that's where I was. I felt like the water was like hitting my ears, and I was like, time didn't exist. And that's somewhere is like, that's almost like where I think my creative space is. It's just like where everything exists.
Right.
And it's so much of everything that there's no sound, there's no time. It's just like everything is moving at the speed of light, and it's just like then sometimes it will come visit you and be like, "Yo, what's up? Here's a dope idea. All right, gotta go. Peace." So
that's so cool.
So yeah, I was there, and that's when I was like, that's when I came in tune with my water sign and where I need to be in order to like obtain that creative space.
That's so strange that you say that, because I asked, my brother's been playing football since he was like 8, and now he's like in college playing football. And I asked him, I was like, dude, like, what does it feel like when you play a game? Because I've never been a sports athlete person. I just never liked it, but my brother loves it. So I was asking him, I was like, dude, like, what is it like to play football? Like, how do you feel about it? And he's just like, honestly, man, he's like, it's a place with like no sound. He's like, when I'm there, like, I don't even know what time it is. He's just like, I'm just playing the game. He's like, I can't even. He's like, when I run, he's like, I don't even hear anything. So it's kind of like what you're talking to me about. Like, he's just like, that's just like where I live at, you know. I just live in this field world. I was just like, that's cool, I guess.
Yo.
I didn't understand what he was saying until now. I get like a little better understanding.
What? Yeah, because that's cool. Because that space, I think like art is life, and I don't know. It's interesting to think about like art in the lens of like athletic ability, but there's definitely things that happen on that field that can be described as art. But
of course. Man.
But what position does he play?
He's running back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well then, dang, that's wild. Yeah, you probably just be blacked out. I would feel like you just go.
Yeah, I just can't imagine like. See, that's being an athlete. Like, he's just physically reacting, but like his mind is in another place.
Yeah.
Like me, I'd be like, whoa, yeah. Like,
yeah, I'd be
there's a dude running at me right now. Like, there's a guy running full force at me. Like, I don't understand this. My mind can't process this. But see, that's his world. That's his artistic world. That's where he expresses himself, man.
Dang, yo,
so
that's so dope.
I understand that now that, like, you know, I actually think about it. It's been like a year since he told me that. But yeah. I totally get that, man. I guess I gotta watch that movie then. I guess I gotta watch Moonlight.
Oh yeah, you got it, yo. It's so much inspiration, and it's such an important film.
There's so many movies I want to watch. I remember you and I and Jameson would sit down and watch movies, and there's so many I haven't seen. I just can't find the time to watch movies.
Yeah.
It's hard, man.
I
can't find the time for like 2 hours. I gotta do it. There's a whole bunch of ones I gotta watch.
Yeah.
But man, it's tough.
And that's understandable, bro.
Yeah.
Movies are large chunks of time, and I think that I took a lot of time after the project to like regain inspiration, and that's where I found it was like in movies. Did you ever see Princess Mononoke?
Bro, all right. So if you're talking anime, I've probably seen it.
Yeah. So I watched a lot of anime, bro, to like really try and learn more and just be inspired by
Studio Ghibli
culture.
ones are crazy.
Yeah. And I tried to do just as many like outside of Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
So Akira and
I just bought Akira because I love it so much. My uncle was watching it. He's like, yo, I haven't seen this since 1988. And he just like sat down, and started watching with me. He's like, yo, because when I bought it, it came with a Blu-ray and a DVD. He's like, yo, can I borrow this? So I just gave him the DVD copy.
Yeah.
He's like, this is lit. Like I remember watching this in the 80s. Akira's crazy.
So much inspiration, bro, and just like that culture.
Yeah, Kanye West said that was his favorite movie next to There May Be Blood, I think. And of course he likes Pacific Rim. I remember he tweeted that. I was like, word?
Yeah, that's what really turned me onto it over the summer, but I didn't peep it right then and there. Yeah. So over this winter break, I watched so much anime, and it was when I was finishing up writing the project. Yeah. And I busted out the song that I just ended up calling Princess Mononoke. Dope. Because it was about so like it's my favorite song. Yeah. But it was about the conflict. It was like in the project, it's like the conflict in the relationship, and it was like this battle between what we find is like natural and what we find ourselves doing as humans, and like how those two should be the same, but how they conflict just naturally. Naturally. And so so that, but because that her line is like she's not afraid to die when she's going to battle.
Do you use a voice sample?
No. Okay. But I'm thinking I haven't gotten to like the full.
You did one in Priceless Life though, where that person's like, "What would you do for peace?" Yeah.
Yeah, that was from Naruto.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I didn't recognize it. All right. To be fair, I'm not really a Naruto fan. But I'm like everything else fan. Yeah.
Yo, I feel like. Do you remember when the memes came? It was like choose 3 characters. Television characters that are you. Yeah. Naruto is definitely one of them.
Really?
But I don't watch enough television to know the rest.
I can picture you going, believe it. I can picture you saying that.
Yeah. I was like, because his line is like, you better quit telling me to quit or like give up. I was like, that's so
He's
dope.
painfully optimistic.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so for that. But so, wait, what was this? Oh, I haven't been into the portion of like getting all of the samples and like the whole, because I want it to be what Damn inspired me from like it's the beginning of Blood and then the ending of Duckworth, right? Of how it like wrapped them together. Okay. And I want to be very intentional about doing a project that does that well. Right. That has a theme in it. I want to make myself get away from doing poetry and I don't want people to just like be able to jam on a song. Excuse me. Just how like More Life was. How More Life, we called it a playlist because you can just listen to that in the background. But at the same time, I want to push myself to do a project that is like continual. It's like a full work. Right. So that's my goal. In that is to be able to accomplish that while still providing music that people could just, like I said, hear in a liquor store or at a cookout or just be shuffled around.
Right. It's a big endeavor to have something come full circle. It takes a lot of thought, really. It just takes a lot of planning ahead of time, and just having a grand vision of it, which is, something that's hard to do, but you're talented, so I believe you can do it. It's hard. It's hard to make something cohesive though. Coming from somebody who's like made some stuff, like it's hard.
Yeah, I've been able to like meditate on it, bro, and just in the way. Oh, I want to talk about this. Is like the way that I wrote this project was so much different from like I said with Priceless Life. I wrote Prodigal Son that night when I talked to the bull, and then from then on I was like writing more songs, and at some point I had like 8 songs, right. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna make a project out of this, and then I had to like I think Father Son was the last song that I wrote, and that was definitely like I had a lot of songs and I had the story, and I was like I could find the missing links, but for this it was like I have a story I want to tell, I have an entire project that I want to do, now I'm gonna make everything for it, and it's so much different, but I think it's going to be that much more rewarding when I'm like I was able to look at like musically, like when I was writing songs with the like with the like lens of this is gonna be for the project, like, right. This is gonna be for the soul that slept on. So that was so much more helpful. Well, I think it's gonna make that process easier when I'm trying to make something that's cohesive.
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure that Priceless Life was pretty cohesive, and that was something that was just like sporadically written. But this was like
it doesn't feel that way though. Mm-hmm. When I listen to it does not feel that way.
Yeah, I think that comes from what I said earlier. Is like those songs were living in me at some point, and it was easy to make something, to write and go in on something about my life, and then translate that into a project because they were all on the same theme. But this would be really interesting because I was like, all right, it's gonna be 12 tracks. It's gonna be it's got to be, each one has to be a song, and it's got to tell the story from beginning to end. So I think that it would be interesting to like take in a project like that.
Right. The more that you can expand, I mean, the different types you take on, just know that.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. But I can't see someone like you getting burned out. You just don't seem to be that type.
Yeah, I think I had the benefit of that fire that burned really, really heavy for this project. But because I immersed myself in it so quickly, I got used to it.
Right.
So I think that was the benefit, is like, I think burnout comes from doing something for a long time and not seeing any like benefits from it.
Yeah.
But I was
That's why people quit going to the gym.
Yeah.
That's why people stop working out.
Yeah. I think I got super, super lucky because I got a lot out of it from the jump.
Right.
And so like it's hard to burn out when I know like if I just chip away at it, you know, for another, like if I say 6 months, that you know that's gonna fly by in any way, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Especially in the terms of writing a project or creating a project.
Being occupied, yeah.
Yeah, so like knowing that that benefit is gonna come, it's just like, yo, I'm ready.
My friend said it this way, and when Rob 10K came on, he quoted it for me. I said, when I have something that was in my head and I bring it into reality, it's the best feeling ever. It's more addicting than anything I've ever faced. That's why that 6 months feels like a short time.
Yeah.
You keep telling yourself, like, when this is done, I'm gonna feel great.
Yeah.
Every time I get something done, even if it's small, I go celebrate. I go buy myself something.
Yeah.
I go to Dairy Queen, get some ice cream. Even though I try and have a strict diet. I go and do something, man. And that's how you gotta be. You just gotta celebrate the little things, the big things.
For real.
Yeah.
I'd be on the top of the world after I finish the song, bro.
I'm telling you.
I hear that mix when it comes back. I'm like, ooh.
I feel the same way. And there's nothing wrong with peeping your own stuff. People feel self-conscious about it. It's great when you do that, man, because you made it, man.
Yeah. And now it's like collaborative, so it's like I gain so much out of that because I'll be low-key feeling this song because of the hook that's on it that someone else did.
Right.
And that's the cool thing, is being able to see this all come together and like also, you know, like admire my own art at the same time as someone else's.
Right.
So it makes it so much easier to like I've been throwing on this one song on repeat because I'm like, yo, I'm so excited for this one. Like, it's so dope. Because this the cool thing.
Is that going to be your opener now when you perform?
I think that I don't know. I think I kind of have been formulaic with performances because I did a lot of performances one after another.
It's easier to memorize stuff that way.
Yeah.
That's what I found. When Ant and I first did shows, we'd actually get together and practice, and that was like painful, man, because like I would take it so seriously and he wouldn't, like, because he knew all of his lyrics and like I didn't. I'm like, whoa, yeah, I just like, hold up, man, I gotta get this. And he would always say like, bro, when I'm on stage, like if you forget something, I'll just rap it. Like we rap together, so it's not even like a thing. Like, but I was just like, dang, I gotta listen to it. But see, like you just, you know, I feel like you know all that stuff already. It's because you've recorded it so many times and you listen to it. So
yeah, I think it's definitely easier to practice when you've recorded, but even at the same time, the way I don't write my music down, so it's like my memory is very quickly like recycling different things. So I have to practice a lot because I don't realize how much I forget from these songs because I have to keep in the ones I haven't recorded yet. Like I've got all of the like 12 songs still in my head for the next project. And that's like I have to force back in some of Priceless Life in order to perform it. So I need to like, I write down the lyrics for my songs, but like for the guitar songs, I don't write them down because I don't know what I would write.
Right.
Because like, I mean, I could write down tabs, but that would like, it just takes so long to do that. And then even look at it, and I would have trouble reading it and like remembering it.
Yeah.
So for me, I just record them all on my phone and then just keep playing them so that they stick somewhere inside of me.
Okay.
And so, but because I do that.
You saying your shows are formulaic?
No.
Oh, is that just another point?
No, that was another point. The formulaic part about the shows was I had so many that were like right after another that I was like, at the same time, I usually will do like, I'll do the same opening and ending track.
Okay.
Because like you said, like it's like I come out with one that I'm very, very confident about,
right.
which is the one that I did a mix of one new song that I'm doing and the oldest song, which I just re-put on SoundCloud because I realized I never put that on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
But it was the second song that I ever recorded after falling from the 5th floor.
Okay.
And it's that the one that's talking about dreams. That one is just like embedded in my brain. Like I'll probably be saying that, you know, like I don't know, in a retirement home I'll be spitting or something. Like that's where it would be at. And so it's really easy to come out to that song and then do and then get into like get acclimated with the stage and like with the crowd. And plus, it's just a happy beat. Like, my one friend said it was Sesame Street. I was like, whatever, bro. He's like, I represent the youth then.
People.
It really is. It's like a Maki, a bull that has, like, got a really, really great team.
Yeah.
Has this, like, had this really, really dope song that was, like, Birds of a Feather.
Right.
And I just, like, sampled that genre. And the beat was so, goes in, bro. So,
nice.
Yeah. So I do that. I open up that, and I like to end with Falling from the 5th Floor because that's when I invite the crowd to sing the hook too.
Sweet.
And it's like such a great way to end it because everyone's like involved and like the energy is just sent directly back.
Yeah.
And that's when like, yeah, that's the rap.
I feel like that's a whole nother podcast we could have is just about performing and how stage as presence is so important.
Yeah.
Especially with rap and just getting people involved with like what you're saying, man. I totally get that.
And the stage, bro, the stage in general is such a unique phenomenon because you get in what you
put out.
Yeah. You get in what you put out because
or you get out what you put in.
Or yeah, that's what I was looking for.
I was confused too. Don't worry.
You get out what you put in because it's so much anxiety performing, bro. Like
it is.
Especially knowing like you got to remember that rap. You don't want to look stupid.
Well, you just think about. For me, I think about like, dude, what if I go on and like the mic's too low and the beat's too loud? I'm gonna look like a fool, even though that wasn't my fault. Like you know what I'm saying? Like that, and man, when Ant and I first started to do shows, bro, like this dude wasn't about stage presence. Like he would stand at one point on the stage and rap. Literally, like he would just be like, yo, like he's mad lyrical, but he would just stand there. I'm like, Ant, we need to move around, bro. Like you need to like go, you know? But I get you. You're thinking 1,000 things before you get on.
Oh yeah, 1,000. And I think that once that music hits and you see one person smile, you're like, boom, you're there.
Yeah, when you see one person going like this, you're like, all right.
and like when you gotta make sure, of course, you gotta do a sound check and make sure it's right. But like when you're in that, because you need to be able to get into that space,
right?
And you can't be in that space
if you're
thinking about the sound, But when you're there, bro, and like what that feeds into you as like a human being, bro, like just community and people really vibing what you're doing. That part, I've gotten so much as just like a person.
You're addicted to the stage, is what you're saying. Your live performances are starting to get your addiction.
I have a love-hate relationship.
Well, where does the hate come from? For me, it's always been love. I guess the hate for me comes from anxiety.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like I've been struggling with anxiety. We were talking about earlier. Like I've been struggling with anxiety just in general, like day to day. So that's where my hate has come because it's like every day I wake up and I'd be experiencing anxiety about just like. I wouldn't even know. Like I wake up, I'll be stressed. Something is not right within me.
Yeah. And
then I was like performing on top of that, which made it so much more harder.
Right.
So right now I'm like, I just am like looking at all the performances that I did. Like there's been, I think one that I did that I was not happy with, but every other one I was like, there's always something to build on, especially performing. Like it's really a place and it's a like box of time where you see all the mistakes that you've made and you're like, all right, I got to improve on those.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like being up on that stage is a success in itself.
And when you're up there, are you up there alone?
As of late for the most part, because I don't have enough of the material for like the live instrumentation, which is collaborative, recorded, to have been like practicing it and stuff. But most of the performances I've done have been like hip hop, and I would have just been by myself. And it's also been very select stages that I've been like by myself. But I'll always have someone come up. Like Gianni came up for the battle performance, and we did a song off the new, and then we was just vibing, bro. Like that was the move, and that's what I've been writing a lot for performance in the mind of like what's fun and what invites people for performance.
I think what helps with anxiety a lot, especially when doing rapping performances, is having somebody with you.
Yeah.
Like I always felt more confident when Ant was with me, and I'm sure Ant would say the same thing, because like man, like a lot of our songs, like It's just the two of us rapping. So we would
Yeah.
just be like going in at the same time.
Yeah.
I give you kudos, man. I really do give you props. Because I've only had to do that like one time, like going up and rapping by yourself. Tough. Tough. I know I've said it like 3 times already, but I really can't overstate it on this podcast. It is a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
Even if you're nice, you could be the nicest.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's tough to go up there.
Exactly. So, I'm so excited for collaborative performances. It's just been bad timing with like finals and everything coming up, but like
you don't gotta worry about it now.
Yeah, but like
now, just do your school, man.
Exactly.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, but like I just can't wait to have a full band, bro. Perform full band, like drums and stuff. Yeah.
That'd be the Roots. I mean, listen, man, that's an awesome thing. And if you could find it, I have no doubt that you will. But when you find it,
bro,
man,
we already got it. That's the thing.
I know, man.
I gotta show you jams. Like we've been jamming for this next project, and like the true. I've said this a lot during this, but like I can't stress enough like the community aspect of creation.
Right.
Because when you see people like you said who love to do exactly what you want to do, and you find your connection through that. Because it's like I'm so nerdy, but I know you're gonna appreciate it. But it's like the fusion, like in Dragon Ball Z, like you know what I'm saying, like bro, you need that power, you need to come together. So that's what it is. It's like I see that. It's like you see someone that when you jam, it's like all of your spirits fusing,
right,
to come out into one dope piece.
And the beautiful thing about that is when it's working perfectly, no one's fighting for attention.
Yeah,
it's never about one person.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, listen, I know this is pretty self-centered, but Jay's the biggest part of this podcast as I am, man. Even though it's called Andrewcast, I mean, he knows that. But you know, that's how it is. When you come together creatively, no one is fighting for attention. You're just trying to present something sick. That's it. Like, here, we're gonna show you something awesome. Yeah, this is it. Like, that's that. That's what's so cool about collaboration, man.
For real.
We gotta do something, man. I mean,
and I'm saying like
eventually, we already are. But
the way that I think, like, I had like it's funny how I like just dream, bro. But like the way that I dream, like seeing how, and you said I have potential, but I see so much potential in you, like what you've already created. But like for what I see our collaboration, I see huge things like resources. Like we need the resources because I'm like, bro, I'm thinking about large scale like animations and like just possible. Doing a lot, like you know what I'm saying, like things like that in the future. Be done. But those are dreams, you know what I'm saying. But right. But yeah, I think that this collaboration and like whenever we get together, it's so evident that we're bound to collaborate, and that when we do, it's gonna be something really, really dope.
For sure, man. Yeah. And I can't wait until that day.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we should come to a close. What do you think? Anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, we had all the notes, bro.
I think so too. I'm super happy with this episode.
Yeah, honestly, bro. I'm super blessed to have been like a part of your art, bro. I really I feel honored that you put me on the list, and I think that this was great. And I'm excited to see where you go with it and what we got coming.
Honestly, the honor is all mine. I'm super appreciative for you taking the time, especially so close to finals. Everything's so busy, but like I said before, I'll say it again for the people on the podcast. Like, Josh was one of the people I wrote down originally to be on the show. Like that was, he was part of that original list, and now he's here. So it's just fitting. But before we end, I want you to plug your thing. When I advertise the podcast, I'm going to put your mixtape out with it and just link the links to your stuff. But for people who are going to be listening, just plug your Bandcamp, your SoundCloud, or whatever.
Oh, yeah. So I guess the two platforms I'm most on right now are definitely like Instagram and SoundCloud. It's just Niles Bronze. Niles like Miles but with an N, and Bronze like third place. So that's how you find me. Niles Bronze. And yeah, the project is on SoundCloud right now. The next project, like I said, full album, I'm gonna put the money in to get it on to meet people where they're at with streaming services. So yeah, do more global like Spotify and iTunes and Tidal.
Hey, it's worth it. That's a good investment.
Yeah.
Honestly, man.
Yeah, to get people where they need to be, bro.
Yo, check out Niles Bronze, Instagram. Hook it up for real. This guy's stuff is awesome. Really great stuff. Great music, great art. Josh, thank you so much for being on the show,
Thank you, bro. It was a pleasure.
This is episode 13, man. 13. We out.